Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see in the picture today, let's start the story of What If Essay Becomes Dragon of Phoenix Part 1. Before we start, please go support Skinny40k for writing that awesome fanfic. Now let's begin. A Monster Unchained. Issei Haida was sitting on the couch in the Orc Occult Research Club. His master Rias Gremory, who was the president of the Orc, was working on some papers she had received from the underworld. Things were not going too well between the Gremory princess and her pawn Issei Haida, since Issei still views her as his master and not someone as his equal. He kept calling her president, which deeply hurt Ria's heart, especially after the raiding game interview when she and Issei were in the sauna alone, and Rias was about to offer Issei her virginity, but then he called her president. All Rias wanted was to be closer to Issei and for him to say that he loves her or at the very least call her by her name. Issei, I still don't understand what I did wrong. Everything was going so well for me. I just hope that she cools down soon so that we can talk and smooth things over. Issei silently pondered over what had happened. He knew things between him and Rias were starting to deteriorate, and he wondered where he had gone wrong. As he reflected on his situation, searching for an answer to the problem, Issei noticed a magic circle materialize before him on the coffee table. Just as he was about to speak, Kaneko glanced at it and immediately recognized who it was from. Kaneko. Phoenix. The woman bearing an uncanny resemblance to Ravel appeared. She appeared to be in her early 20s, possessing the same blonde hair and blue eyes. The only difference was that her hair was elegantly styled, adorned with various ornamental pieces. Ravel. Mother. Ravel was completely taken by surprise. She didn't expect her mother to call Issei Ravel's mother. So that means she is the current head of the House of Phoenix, which also makes her Riser's mother. And she's really beautiful. Hello, Ravel, sorry for the sudden call. I couldn't get any time, so I ended up calling at this hour. In the human world in Japan, it's still school time, right? Bravo. Why? Yes, it certainly is. But why did you call all of a sudden? Rias walked over to the hologram. Rias? Hello, Lady Phoenix. It's been a while. May I know your reason for calling? Lady Phoenix. Indeed, but first I should introduce myself. Everyone, my name is Layla Phoenix, the current matriarch of the Phoenix family. Is the Red Dragon Emperor Issei Haida here? If so, may I speak to him? Issei? Yes, Lady Phoenix, I am here. Do you need something from me? He responded with a respectful voice. Layla, hello to you too. This is our first time meeting like this, isn't it, Issei Haida, the Red Dragon Emperor? I apologize for introducing myself like this. Issei. There's no need to apologize, it's a pleasure to meet you. Layla? Yes, I thought I should greet you properly. Normally, I would go and greet Rias, who is in charge of the Haida residence and the academy which my daughter will be home staying at, but there were reasons why we couldn't visit. Rias? It's fine, Lady Phoenix, I understand how busy you are. Layla? Thank you, Rias. Now then, Issei Haida, I have a request, which I would like for you to complete, if you do not mind. Issei. What is it, Lady Phoenix? Layla? You see, my daughter Ravel is studying at that school, and I wanted you and Rias both to look after her and protect her from weird pests. Would you please look after her? Issei. Yes, ma'am, you can count on me, Lady Phoenix. I will look after her, Layla. Thank you, Issei. Hi, duo, and one more thing, I had Riser trade with me a while back, after which she is a free bishop. Your goal is to be a high-class devil, right? Issei. Yes. Wait, do you mean? Layla chuckled. Layla? Indeed, if Ravel's so pleased as she can be in your peerage once you become a high-ranking devil, so I am counting on you to look after her, and who knows, maybe she will. Ravel, Mother Ravel shouted out of embarrassment and bashfulness. Layla only chuckled at her daughter's plight, then Issei responded. Issei? You can count on me, I will protect Ravel no matter what, you have nothing to worry about. Ravel blushed while Rias looked at the scene with sadness and slight anger. Layla, thank you, Issei, and you see around Rias? Rias? Of course, Lady Phoenix. The magic circle disappeared, and then Riaz all of a sudden decided to go out, which Issei and the other club members present noticed. Issei then asks, "Issei? Are you going somewhere, President?" Riaz looked at him with a sad look. Issei flinched. He did not know exactly what happened or why she was still sad. Issei, is something wrong, President? Riaz. Issei. I need to know, would you protect me? Issei. Yeah, of course, I'd die for you, President. Riaz? What about Asia? I say, yeah, I'd protect her too. Riaz? And Aquino? I say, duh, totally. Why wouldn't I? Still, though, why are you asking? Is something up? Riaz sighed. Aquino and Asia, as well as the majority of the orc, understood what Riaz was getting at. She had a sad look on her face as she asked one final question. Riaz? Ice, tell me, they say? Yeah, what? Riaz? What am I to you? How do you see me, Issei? Riaz? Just answer me already, Issei. Okay, well, let me think. You're the President, Riaz? You idiot, why can't you understand the way I feel? Issei. But President, if you would just let me, Aquino? Enough, Essie. It appears that you're too naive to understand Riaz's feelings, Essie. Please, just give me a chance. Zenobia? Geez, Essie. I know I can be tense sometimes, but even I know how Riaz feels. If you're this oblivious, then having kids with you would be a bad idea. Greg observed the tense atmosphere, growing increasingly concerned for Issei's well-being. He understood the turmoil within Issei's emotions and feared that it might awaken something dangerous within him. He could feel the curse of the former users of the gear beginning to awaken, and soon they would try to get him to activate the Juggernaut drive. Greg was going to say something to defend his partner and prevent the selfish actions of the girls from causing any further harm to him. It could trigger a very dangerous situation with Issei. Meanwhile, Irina firmly advised Issei to remain silent, recognizing that any words he spoke would only exacerbate the situation for everyone involved. She acknowledged Issei's inclination towards perverseness, but questioned his obliviousness to Riaz's feelings. As tensions heighten, Kaneko can't help but express disappointment in Issei's behavior, unleashing a barrage of hurtful remarks. Drake observes the backlash, deeming it excessive despite understanding the other's grievances. But at the same time, they are ignoring Issei's feelings and, more importantly, the trauma he has experienced. If they understood, Drake believed the situation would unfold differently. But as of now, they are only showing how little they truly care about his partner, and how selfish they all are. Except for that Phoenix girl. Hoping to find solace in Asia's support, Issei instead faced further disappointment when she criticized him and deemed him worthless. Tearfully, Issei questioned what he had done to deserve such treatment, desperately seeking understanding from those he saw as friends and lovers. Thebes sighed, feeling uncertain about where to begin in explaining Issei's missteps. Gasper, agreeing with Kiba, voiced his disapproval as well. Issei, emotionally overwhelmed, couldn't comprehend why everyone was turning against him. Sensing Issei's distress, Ravel approached him with genuine concern. However, before Issei could respond, another voice chimed in. Okendo provided context to Issei's actions, revealing that the complaints they have been getting about his peeping on the Kendo Club has started tarnishing their club's reputation. Breeze, acknowledging the impact of Issei's actions, agreed that they could no longer overlook his behavior. Ravel, passionately defending Issei, struggled to comprehend how they could all treat him as disposable after everything he had done for them. The weight of the situation left Issei feeling physically unwell, overwhelmed by the rejection from those he had considered his friends and peers. Greg, I knew that Gremory girl to be selfish, but witnessing everyone, including his childhood friend the so-called Angel, not standing by him infuriates me. I am unsure if it weren't for that Phoenix girl showing genuine concern for my partner's well-being, he would have succumbed to the Juggernaut drive once more. If it weren't for the fact that I am bound by this sacred gear, I might have already unleashed my flames and incinerated them all. Issei, Ravel is the only one who has shown that she cares. She never berated me like the others. She has only shown concern for me. Issei discreetly grabbed Ravel's hand and slightly squeezed it, making her turn her head to face him. She could tell from his face that he was hurting from their words. But before Ravel could say anything, Rias spoke up. Rias, I acknowledge that issei rescued me from the forced engagement with your brother. However, it has become increasingly evident that you have not experienced significant personal growth or maturity. Frankly, I am beginning to consider the possibility of being with Riser, despite his tendency to treat us as mere playthings and disregard our emotions. This may sound harsh, issei, but I deeply regret reincarnating you and including you in my peerage. I believe the time has come for you to depart from the Gremory household because, at this point, you haven't matured. You're still naive and your perversion will only bring shame to the Gremory household and my peerage. I will be trading you off. The room fell into stunned silence, with Rias herself taken aback by the weight of her words. In a moment of anger and frustration, she had spoken without considering the consequences, and the realization of her actions quickly set in. However, it was too late to retract what had been said. The impact of Ria's outburst triggered a profound transformation within issei, one that would reshape the course of events and force everyone present to confront the repercussions of their choices. Issei's boosted gear materialized on his left hand. Greg, I strongly advise all of you to evacuate the surrounding areas immediately, and I suggest that you all leave as well. Rias, but why, Greg? Greg. Rias, Gremory, you are so selfish and arrogant you don't even realize the mistake you have just made. However, time is running out. You all must leave immediately. I can only restrain him for a short while. Bravo. Dreg, what is happening to Isama? Dreg. These fools have shattered my partner's heart, and now, because of their actions, a true dragon will be born. I witnessed all of my partner's thoughts while he was being berated by these women. I can honestly say that you, Ravel Phoenix, provided him with a glimmer of hope. However, the selfish actions of everyone else, especially you, Rias Gremory, have pushed him into this volatile state that I can barely control. Ravel, on behalf of my partner, you should know that he genuinely cares about you and your well-being. I can see that you also care deeply for him, but you must leave now. I know my partner wouldn't want to harm or kill you in his rage, and even now, I can barely contain. At that moment, Drake could no longer contain issei, and before anyone could react or utter a word, a mighty roar echoed through the air. An explosion of aura erupted from issei, its impact felt far and wide, spanning across the realms from the underworld to heaven and even reaching into the dimensional gap. The tremendous display of power even caught the attention of a certain red dragon, causing it to halt its flight and turn towards the source of the explosion. The aura's intensity also drew the attention of a short black-haired girl with a loli-like appearance. Scene change. Lilith, capital city in the underworld. Surtsix. What is happening in Chao? The doors to Surtsix's chamber were forcefully thrown open. Graphia. My lord, did you feel that explosion of aura? Surtsix. Yes, I did, Graphia. It originated from Kao. Graphia? Do you think someone is attacking the town? Surtsix? I'm not sure, but I have a bad feeling about this. Quickly, contact Sir Afal and tell her to meet me at Ku Academy. Also, contact Falbia and Najuka. Tell them to be on high alert and prepare for a possible attack by the Cow's Brigade. Raphia? Understood, my lord. Shall we also inform Michael and Azazel? Surtsix? Yes, send an urgent message to them, instructing them to rendezvous with Sarafol and me at Ku Academy. They must be ready to confront the potential threat that emanates such a menacing evil aura. Let's quickly head to Ku Academy without delay. Considering the magnitude of the recent aura explosion, I have my doubts that Rias or Sona's peerages combined would last long against whatever they could be facing. Scene change. Back in the Orc room, Isio regains control from Drag, his head lowered and his eyes concealed by his hair. As he raises his head, his emerald eyes burn with a furious intensity. In a display of immense power and aura, he activates his balance breaker, causing the ground beneath him to fracture and crumble. The onlookers are struck with fear, witnessing a transformed issei who is no longer the lovable pervert they knew, but an enraged dragon. Issei, what are you doing? Akino. Why did you activate your balance breaker? There are no enemies around, Asia. She's right, Issei. There's no need for this. Please calm down, let's talk. Unfortunately, the person they're trying to talk to is not Issei, but an enraged dragon who has had enough of listening. And what Issei did next surprised everyone. Greg. Promotions, Welsh Blaster Bishop. Everyone was surprised to hear Drake's voice call out Welsh Blaster Bishop. But that's not the end of the surprises, because Issei then points the cannon at Asia and fires. Riaz? Asia? No. Bikino? Asia? Get out of the way. Irina? Issei? No. Zenobia? Issei? Don't do it. Flashback 5 minutes earlier, outside the old school building. Sergiches accompanied by Gryphia arrived at the old school building, stepping out of the teleportation circle. Much to their surprise, 2 familiar faces were already waiting for them. Sergiches? Oh, I'm glad to see you two have already arrived. Azazel? Well, to be honest, I happened to be in the area when I sensed the explosion of aura. I quickly determined its origin and rushed over here. Michael teleported shortly after. Serzex? I see. So, have you been able to figure out what caused this? Azazel? Actually, as I was racing here, a few ideas crossed my mind, and when I neared the school, I realized where the aura was emanating from and found its strongest point. I can't help but suspect issei had something to do with it. Michael? Indeed, brother. The aura released has a dark and malevolent feel to it. Azazel? You noticed it too? Michael? Yes, there is no mistaking it. It bears the same resemblance to the aura released when someone using the divine dividing or boosted gear succumbs to anger and activates the juggernaut drive. Upon hearing Michael and Azazel's words, both Sergiches and Gryphia felt a sense of unease creeping in. Sergiches? Gryphia, please go and check on the situation inside with Riaz and the others. Gryphia? Yes, my lord. Using a teleportation circle, Gryphia disappears to check on the situation in the orc room and determine if Riaz and her peerage are in need of assistance, as they may be under attack from whatever let out that monstrous aura. Serzex. I have a bad feeling about this, especially since my little sister might be involved with what is happening to issei. Azazel, we can't jump to conclusions just yet. By the way, wasn't Seraphol supposed to be here as well? Serzex? I'm sure she'll be here soon. Just as the conversation was about to continue, another teleportation circle materialized, and Seraphol, accompanied by her sister Sona, emerged. Serzex? Seraphol, there you are. Where have you been? Seraphol was about to explain when a loud explosion echoed from the old school building, diverting everyone's attention. They turned to witness Gryphia forming an ice wall in front of Asia. They were shocked, but what stunned everyone was issei attempting to harm Asia. Serzex? Riaz, what have you done? Azazel? Let's not worry about that now. We need to calm issei down before he activates the juggernaut drive out of rage. Michael? Serzex, my brother is right. We must calm the young man down, evacuate the humans from the area and quickly put up a barrier. Sona, don't worry about the students. School ended a while ago, so only the ones here were those in clubs. I already had my peerage get them out, and Tsubaki and the rest of my peerage have set up a barrier around the academy. Seraphol. Great job, Sutton. I'm proud of you. Sona blushed slightly at her sister's compliment. Michael? Well, at least the students won't be in danger now. But we still need to calm issei down. Sona? Does anyone know what made Haidu so angry and released this aura? And where is Roswaz? Azazel? Roswaz was helping me find ways to restore issei's lost life force. I asked her to bring an item I'd been working on that can temporarily disable a sacred gear user's abilities. I informed her of the situation and asked her to hurry here. As for what triggered issei's state, I don't know. Sona? I understand. First, we need to calm issei down. Then we can find out what happened. Serzex. I agree. Does anyone know how to calm him down? Seraphol. The magical girl has got this. Seraphol began calling out to issei to get his attention, and it worked. But what happened next, no one could have expected. Issei looked towards her and let out a monstrous roar and a burst of energy that knocked everyone backwards, including Gryphia. Before leaping off the destroyed part of the building that was formerly the meeting room of Orc, Drake's voice could be heard calling out. Mode change while Sonic Boost Night. After that, Issei charged at Seraphil with blinding speed, taking her by surprise. She was not expecting this level of speed from him. Issei appeared in front of her, and Drake's voice was heard again calling out. Mode change while Stargona Crook. Seraphil's eyes widened, and she immediately jumped back, barely evading the incoming attack from Issei. Sona ran up to her sister, who looked slightly shaken up from that attack. Sona? Sister, are you alright? Seraphil? Yes, but that isn't to say. That blow he aimed at me was delivered with murderous and killing intent. It felt just like when the heavenly dragons were slaughtering our troops during the Great War, showing the same murderous and killing intent. Sona, what are you saying? That's still Haidu under that armor. He's the only one it could be. It's hard to believe that the Haidu I've gotten to know would so easily try to kill somebody. Seraphil shook her head. Seraphil? Sona, you are right about it still being Ice Kuin underneath that armor. But we aren't fighting Ice Kuin or even Dreg. We are fighting the aspect of Ice Kuin's dragon side that has taken over control of his body. To simplify it, we are fighting an enraged and bloodthirsty dragon that won't stop until those who caused all this pain towards him are dead. Even then, he might not stop. He could destroy all of Kwa, if not a majority of Japan. Sona? You don't mean? Before she could finish what she was going to say, she stopped as she saw Issei stand up from the crater he made on impact with the ground, only to see an enraged Zenobia charging at him with Durandal in hand, ready to slash at Issei to make him pay for trying to kill Asia. Seraphil. Zenobia. No, stay away. Seraphil was unable to finish her warning as Issei swiftly turned around, grabbing Zenobia by the neck and forcefully slamming her into the ground. In a matter of seconds, Issei relentlessly pummeled Zenobia, mercilessly smashing her further into the ground and creating a crater beneath her. The sickening sounds of Zenobia's cries for help filled the air, accompanied by the bone-chilling noise of her bones, shattering with each blow. Her blood stained Issei's armor and the surrounding ground, further intensifying the gruesome scene. However, before Issei could continue his merciless assault for more than 15 seconds, Seraphil intervened by launching a massive ice projectile, forcefully propelling him away from Zenobia. This brief respite allowed Irina to arrive and witness the horrifying carnage and brutality inflicted upon Zenobia in such a brief span of time. Realizing that Issei was now charging towards her, Irina hastily picked up Zenobia, who looked on the verge of dying. Irina knew she needed to get her away from here and get Zenobia immediate medical attention. Irina? Oh, I see. Sniff, what have we done to you? We turned you into a monster. Upon spotting Irina making her escape, Issei emitted a low, menacing growl. Gradually reverting to his original balance breaker form, he unfurled his wings from his back. However, his attempt to take flight and pursue Irina, along with the barely conscious and injured Zenobia, was immediately stopped by Seraphil, who conjured numerous ice chains that tightly ensnared Issei, encasing his entire body and slamming him into the ground. As if that weren't enough, Graphia jumped in to help restrain him by imprisoning him within an immense mound of ice, rendering him completely immobilized. Graphia? This won't hold him for long, and just to keep the ice from melting, I have to keep pouring my magic into it. We need to think of something to calm Issei down. Seraphil? Graphia, I'll assist you in maintaining the ice prison around Issei. Meanwhile, Sertsix, Azazel, and Michael think of a way to break through his rage and restore him to the Issei we all know and love. Graphia? Serzekias? Lucifer, you better bring my little brother back to us. Serzekias? Rest assured, Graphia. I will do whatever it takes to restore him, not just for you, but for all of us. In the meantime, I need you and Seraphil to maintain the ice confinement as long as possible while we devise a plan. Seraphil? Fear not, for this magical girl stands ready to aid in saving the day. Graphia silently nodded in agreement, directing all her focus and magical energy alongside Seraphil to keep Issei securely imprisoned within the Issei prison. Michael, so what should we do now? Any ideas, Azazel? Azazel? I have a plan, and it seems that what I need to carry it out has just arrived. Suddenly, a teleportation circle materialized, and Rosewaist stepped out, holding a box which she handed to Azazel. Rosewaist? Azazel, I brought the item you asked me to retrieve from your lab. Now, could you please explain what's going on and why is causing havoc? Azazel, thank you, Rose. I will explain everything to you later, but for now, I need you to evacuate Irina, Ravel, Rias, and her peerage from this location. Rose? Understood, Azazel. Azazel? Sona, can you take Zenobia to the Citri Hospital in the underworld? She requires immediate medical attention. Sona? Of course, Sensei. I'll take Zenobia there immediately. Azazel? Very good. Sona quickly retrieved Zenobia and teleported them to the underworld hospital. Just as Rosois was about to go and evacuate the others, a blonde girl with her hair styled in drill curls and flame-like wings landed near Azazel and the other leaders. Ravel. Where is Sama? Rosois. Ravel, come with me. It's not safe here. The leaders can handle this. Ravel. No, I won't leave Sama. I want to help him no matter what. Azazel. Ravel? Azazel-sensei, please listen. Drake told me before losing control that Sama cares about me and wouldn't want to hurt me. He said I'm the only hope Issei has right now. Sergiches? Ravel? Although that may be true, the issei who is in front of us now is not. Ravel? I won't abandon him like Rias, and the others did. Is probably feeling alone and scared. Please let me help him. Lycael? Serzex and Azazel? I believe we should let her try to reach him. This girl seems genuine, and she may be the only person who can bring him back from his enraged state, and we don't have many other options besides letting her try to reach him and bring him back to his senses, or trying to beat his issei unconscious without killing him in the process, before he can activate the Juggernaut drive. If things get serious, we would have no choice but to kill the poor boy, and I know none of us want that. Azazel? Fine, if she can bring back my student, I'll put my faith in her. Sergiches? Ravel, do you truly believe you can reach him? Ravel? Yes, I do, Lord Lucifer. Sergiches? If that's the case, I'll also trust you. Please bring back my little brother, for everyone's sake. Rose, Ravel will stay here to help calm his fate down. I need you to gather everyone else and take them back to the Haida residence. Broswas? Understood, Lord Lucifer. Broswas flew off to gather everyone and bring them back to the Haida mansion. Suddenly, an explosion is heard. Michael, Sertzix, and Azazel turned to see Issei holding both Graphia and Seraphil by the neck, even more enraged, slowly choking them. Sertzix. Ravel, I'm putting my faith in you. Please save my little brother, and prevent him from making a mistake by hurting Graphia or Seraphil. Ravel. I will, Lord Lucifer. Azazel. Ravel, before you go, take this. Ravel. What is it? Azazel. It's a special collar I made. It's meant to disable a sacred gear user's abilities as soon as it's put on them. If you can calm Issei down enough to put this collar on him, it will end his rampage and keep him from using his sacred gear until it's removed. Ravel. I understand, Azazel-sensei. Leave it to me to bring him back. Azazel? Good. Now go, bring my foolish student to his senses and save the man you love. Bravo blushed upon hearing the last thing Azazel said, but she was quickly snapped out of her thoughts by Lord Michael. Michael? Brother, this is no time for teasing the young girl. Azazel, just giving her some extra motivation, Michael. He said that with a cheeky smile on his face. Michael sighed at his brother's antics, but then recomposes himself before speaking. Michael? I have the utmost faith in you, Ravel. If anyone can reach him, it's you. Ravel? Thank you all for believing in me. I won't let you down. Back with the issei choking Graphia and Seraphil. Graphia? Please. This isn't you. You're a kind boy, not a mindless monster. Cough, Seraphil. Ice-kun, let go please, you're hurting me, you're not a killer. Please don't do this. Cough, cough. Issei only looked at them and growled. He was trying to break their necks until he heard a familiar voice call out to him. Ravel? Issei, stop this now. Issei loosened his grip on both Seraphil and Graphia. He threw them aside and turned to face Ravel. Meanwhile, Michael and Azazel rushed towards Seraphil to ensure her well-being, while Sertsix hurried to check on his wife. They all watched as Ravel stood her ground, facing down and say, Ravel? Sama, it's me, Ravel. I know you must be angered and hurt by what everyone said to you. But it's not true. I haven't left you or hurt you, and the same goes for Graphia, Seraphil, Sertsix, Michael and Azazel. We just want to help you and bring you back to your senses. But more than that, I want the issei I started to fall for to come back because this isn't you. I want the issei who always smiled and did his best to cheer everyone up, no matter the situation. I want the man who wears his heart on his sleeve and who is honest to a fault. I want the man I fell in love with, the man I thought only existed in the fairy tales my mother told me as a kid. While Ravel spoke, Issei looked at her, feeling conflicted. As she slowly approached him, Issei slammed the tail of the balance breaker on the ground, causing her to hesitate. But she remained determined, continuing to move forward, willing to reach the man she loves and save him from his own darkness. Ravel? Issei, I could see the pain in your eyes when the girl said those hurtful words, and I could feel the sorry you felt. Their insults cut deeper than any physical attack ever could. They disregarded your feelings and didn't take into account how much their words affected you. Although I may not know the full extent of what you've been through, I've always noticed how you reacted when the girls approached or forced themselves upon you. Despite their advances, you have never once acted inappropriately or forced yourself on anyone. It was clear to me that you were afraid every time they crossed boundaries, as if you were hesitating. Whatever happened to you, I want to support and help you through it. Suddenly, Issei used the tail of his balance breaker to wrap around Ravel's neck, pulling her closer to him at eye level. Ravel struggled to free herself from the tightening grip of his tail, but still tried to reach out to his issei. Ravel, please understand that this is not who you are. You're not a monster. I beg you, don't let anger and despair consume you, don't let darkness take over. I love you, and I want to help you overcome all of this. Let me be the one to guide you back towards the light, to burn away the darkness with the flames of the phoenix. Having you in my life means everything to me, and I want to be there for you. I want to be by your side. Bravo released her phoenix wings and wrapped them around Issei to give him the warmth of her wings and to try and reach him. Scene change. Issei's mindscape. Issei finds himself in a dark void, shrouded in darkness, his body curled into a fetal position, tears streaming down his face. Suddenly, a familiar figure with black wings envelopes him, taunting and tormenting him within his own mind. It appears that the red-haired grimy bitch and her peerage have finally finished where I started, shattering what little of your heart remained. I say, Brainer. It's not much fun if you don't respond or put up a fight. I say, kill me already. Brainer. Now, why would I do that when you still have one last purpose left, a purpose that could be useful to me? I say, Brainer, come on now, you know how this should end. Let's finish it the way it was meant to be, except this time, let your fury and anguish be known to all. Seems you're only good as a trophy to flaunt or a weapon to be used, just like your former master did. Unlike me, I never deceived you, did I? I say, Brainer. So why don't we reunite in the afterlife, where we can forge a real connection? Just say the words and let the curse consume you. Then, we can be together forever. After all, nobody else would ever love you like I do. Use that love. Now, my red dragon of domination, embrace your true monstrous nature and eliminate anyone who stands in your way. Essay. Yes, you're right. I am a monster, and monsters are only capable of killing and spreading death. Brainer? Good, my love. Now show the world the monster you truly are, Issei. I will become the monster that the world perceives me to be. Ravel. Issei, you're not a monster, Issei. Wait, that voice. It's Ravel. Ravel. Please come back to me, I need you in my life. Everyone needs you. I say, Ravel wants me by her side. Reiner. Don't listen to that voice, it speaks nothing but lies. Ravel. I love you. I say, Ravel loves me. She wants me in her life, and she doesn't see me as a monster. Reiner, no, start the chant, embrace your role as the dragon of domination. Soon, Issei found himself in the dark void that was starting to be lit up by a warm and comforting fire wrapping around him. The fire took the shape of the phoenix, and gave the fallen angel a death glare, intimidating her. The phoenix indicated that it was here to protect Issei, and flames began to surround him and embrace him in a protective golden fire. In a swift instant, it flapped its wings, burning away the rest of the darkness that was encircling and consuming Issei. This made Reiner furious. She was about to take control of the situation until she heard a deep and terrifying growl behind her. Dreg. So I finally get the pleasure of meeting the crow who has caused my partner so much pain, Issei. Dreg, you're back. I thought you were gone because I couldn't feel you anymore. Dreg, partner, I will explain everything later. But now you need to leave your mindscape. Because while you were imprisoned inside your own mind by this crow, your dragon side took over your body and released the wrath of a dragon upon all who gained your attention, including the young phoenix who was able to break you out of your prison. Issei looked at the fire that took the shape of the phoenix and noticed it looked weaker than it did a few minutes ago. That's when he realized, and he immediately left his mindscape, leaving a frightened fallen angel to deal with a very pissed-off dragon. Greg, you have caused my partner so much pain when you were alive, and even in death, you were able to move a portion of your soul inside my partner to continue tormenting him. But that ends now because I will be your final executioner, fallen angel. You will now feel the full wrath of an enraged and angered dragon. Reiner gulped in fear. Scene change. Back with Ravel and Issei. Ravel? Cough cough eyes, please stop. I can't breathe. Just come back to me and stop this, I need you. A lone tear went down Ravel's cheek as she started to lose consciousness, until she felt Issei's grip on her neck loosen, and he dropped her, causing Ravel to fall to the ground and cough rapidly, able to breathe again. She finally heard Issei's voice, which made her stare at Issei, only to see him fall to his knees and his helmet dematerialized. Issei, Ravel. Ravel was starting to tear up after realizing that the green emerald eyes she saw in the club room, which only showed hate and anger, were no longer present in Issei's eyes. Instead, his normal chocolate brown eyes now showed immediate regret after seeing what he had done to Ravel. Tears were building up in his eyes, making her realize that her ice was back. She ran up to him and hugged him while crying, Ravel? Oh, Ice. You came back to me. I thought I had truly lost you forever. Sobbing, Issei fell unconscious while the rest of the balance breaker dematerialized. At the same time, the rest of the leaders ran up to Issei's unconscious form. Ravel? Isama? Isama, please, I just got you back. Don't leave me, Griffia. Please help Isama L. Griffia sat on the ground next to Issei while Ravel was crying hysterically, still holding Issei's unconscious body. Griffia put her hand over Issei's forehead, and a small magical circle floated above his forehead from her hand. After a few minutes, the circle disappeared and she retracted her hand before speaking to Ravel. Rapia? Ravel, he will be alright. He overexerted himself fighting in that state, and using the multiple different transformations of the balance breaker. He will be alright, but he'll be out for a while. Ravel. That's great to hear. Isama will be okay. Surzix. Thank you, Ravel Phoenix, for saving Issei and bringing him back to his senses. But I would still like an explanation of how all this came to be. But we can worry about that later. Michael? Indeed, all that matters now is making sure Issei properly recovers. That goes for you as well, Ravel. A lot has happened, and I'm sure it was mentally and emotionally exhausting for you. Ravel nodded at Michael while caressing Issei's cheeks as he slept in her lap. Azazel? Before anything else, Ravel, I think you should put that collar on him just in case his mental state is still not completely stable. It will prevent him from going back into a berserk state, or, even worse, accessing the Juggernaut drive. Bravo looked up at Azazel and nodded in agreement. She pulled out the sacred gear neutralizing collar and put it around Issei's neck, snapping it together. Lights appeared from the collar, changing from red to blue to green until it eventually turned white, showing that the collar successfully neutralized Issei's sacred gear and prevented him from accessing it. Bravo! Did it work? Azazel. Yes, it is working. He is no longer able to access his sacred gear abilities. Although he should still be able to communicate with Drag, he won't be able to use any of the abilities of the boosted gear as long as the collar is on him. Seraphil. It would be best if we kept that knowledge among those currently here, because we still have to worry about the Cow's Brigade. They would take advantage of the situation knowing that Iskan cannot use his sacred gear. Michael, I agree with Seraphil. Keeping this information confined to those who are currently present would be best. Don't you agree, Sertsix and Azazel? Azazel? I agree with that decision. The risks posed if the Cow's Brigade found out this information could become catastrophic quickly, especially if they are able to mobilize enough to launch an attack on the Alliance with a large force. Sergiches. I also agree, but I think it would be best if we took Issei home to rest. Bravo, Lord Lucifer. I would like to politely request that we do not let Issei go back to his home, or the Gremory estate. It wouldn't be good for Issei's recovery if those who hurt him were able to find him, or have easy access to him. It would only make the situation worse for Issei after everything they said to him. Seraphil. I agree with Ravel on this. I suggest having both Issei-kun and Ravel come stay at the Leviathan Mansion so that Issei can rest and recover, and we can figure out everything that happened. Ravel can inform us of exactly what happened. It would also be a good idea to have Graphia stay with him just in case something happens. Sertsix? I agree with what you're saying. It would be best to keep the others away from his say for now until we figure out exactly what happened, and I completely agree with having Graphia be with him during his recovery. If you're okay with that, Graphia? Graphia? I completely agree with this. Also, I want to make sure my little brother is in a proper state of mind, along with his physical health. Seraphil. Well, it seems that we are all in agreement. I will be taking Ice-kun, Ravel, and Graphia with me to the Leviathan Mansion. Graphia picks up Issei's unconscious body, then Ravel stands up. They both head towards Seraphil, who has a teleportation circle ready for them. As soon as they both stand next to Seraphil and their circle, they teleport away. Azazel? Sertsix, I think your sister has royally bucked up. But I have a feeling Rias wasn't alone in this, and I think once the truth comes out, Barakiel is going to be pissed and ashamed if he finds out his own daughter helped make this mess. Michael, you're not alone, brother. I feel like my ace Irina and I need to have a discussion about this, and the part she played in making this disaster situation. Sergiches? I agree with both of you on this. It seems like all the women that were close to his say have a lot of explaining to do, but let's worry about that later. We need to work on fixing the school and adjusting the memories of any humans who might have witnessed this event. Both Azazel and Michael nod in agreement, and begin to fix the damage to the school and change the memories of the humans who could have seen this event. The lead dialogue, Chapter 1, Essay. I get it now, was nothing but a means to an end. I was nothing more than the Gremory family's shiny red dragon emperor meant to be show-off and thrown away when severed my purpose. I finally understand why Sersex and Graphia always want me to marry you. It's so the Germaris never lost their dragon and could be a leash on me. Well, no more. If you truly regret reincarnating me because I've caused you and your precious club reputation to go down because of my perverted antics, you have nothing to worry about, then I will take you up on that offer of being traded. Rias? Essie, I didn't. Essie? No, you said what you said because you said it yourself. You no longer wish for me to be part of your peerage. Then I'll grant my king her finally requested, Haravel. Ravel, who was still in shock between what Rias said and now what Issei is saying until she was brought out of her thoughts by Issei. Call for her. Bravo? Yes, Sama. Issei. Can you take me to your mother, Lady Phoenix? I wish to inform her of my king's intentions to trade me. Bravo. I can do that, Isama, but may I ask why? I wish to be traded to someone in the Phoenix clan. Bravo, who was surprised upon hearing that. But her surprise soon turned into a smile. Bravo, I understand, Isama. I will take us there now if you would like. Issei. Yes, let's go now, because I see no reason. Wait, I would like to get this trade done as soon as possible. Bravo. Yes, Isama. Bravo. Begin forming a teleportation circle under her and issei. But before they left, the boosted gear materializes and Dreg decided to speak. Greg. Rias Gremory, along with your peerage and that so-called childhood friend and angel, you all have made a huge mistake braiding my partner after all he has done for you. From save you Rias from a marriage you didn't want, to helping that knight of your get his revenge and make peace with his past, and helping the cat and the crow accept themselves, even more so the disgrace of an exorcist after being excommunicated and being welcomed, being treated like family. Same with you, Asia. My partner almost died in trying to save you and cried over your death, and he begged Rias to revive you as a devil, not to mention the former childhood friend that is supposed to be an angel who's supposed to uphold virtues and never fall under the temptation of sins. Yet you have committed the great sin of all, the same one that got Lucifer casted out of heaven, the sin of treachery. You betrayed your own childhood friend just as everyone else betrayed his trust as comrades, and as of now ex-lovers. To fulfill your own selfish desires by forcing him to admit his feelings before he was ready and not dealing with the underlying issues of the trauma that he has been dealing with. You call my partner pervert, and yes, he is. But he has never done anything to anyone other than peeping. He's never forced himself on any of you. Even when you threw yourself at him, he never forced himself on any of you. If you would have looked closer at the situation, you would have seen the fear in his eyes every time he was in a situation like. But you were blinded by your own selfish desires. But the only one I can say that stood by my partner, and never berated him to this whole thing, and was actually concerned for his well-being, was the young Phoenix girl. Of all made a grave mistake today, and you don't fully understand the full ramifications of what you've done, but you soon will. And as for you, Angel, I would recommend contacting Michael and informing him of what you've done, having him removing you as his ace and returning you to being a human once again, because it's only a matter of time before your guilt makes you fall, and you become a fallen angel. That is all I have to say to you all. As for me and my partner will no longer be used by the Gremory clan or by Uriah's Gremory. I'm done saying what I need to, partner. I'm going back to sleep. The Dreg goes back into the boosted gear and it dematerializes again. I say, well, since my partner has said what he wants to and his thoughts, I'll practically the same as mine on this matter. So with it I look forward to no longer being your pawn, my former king. After that both Ravel and issei vanished in the teleportation circle, leaving everyone in the orc shock and guilt-ridden, realizing that their actions might have cost them their friendship for some another, a partner and lover. Most of the girls started to cry, none more so than Irina, realizing she could have just lost her childhood friend, and even more so the only man she loved, while Riaz could only walk to her desk and fall into her chair and lean back on it to stare up at the ceiling, would-like, besides realizing the mistake she made, while the other broke down around her. Until two certain individuals walked in, seeing the current status of everybody and noticing two people were missing. Roswas was confused, while Azazel had a pretty good idea what happened, and he was hoping he was wrong. Azazel? Oh boy, I have a feeling Sursages isn't going to like what his little sister has done this time. Scene change, Underworld, Phoenix Castle. Ravel and issei made to the Phoenix Castle to meet with Lady Phoenix to discuss what happened with Rias and how she said she would trade issei. But when the two arrived, they saw Layla Phoenix there. She was also talking to another blonde woman that looked very similar to Layla. This person was Claire Phoenix, the second oldest child and first daughter of the Phoenix clan. Layla? Oh Ravel, I wasn't expecting to see you so soon. Is everything alright? Issei. Actually, Lady Phoenix, that's why I have come here to you today. My king has decided I'm no longer fit to be in her pigger, and has told me she will be trading. Kneels to Lady Phoenix. I humbly asked you, Lady Phoenix, to offer a trade to Rias Gremory for me. Layla Phoenix. Ravel, is this true? Did Rias really announce that she would be trading issei Hayato? Ravel. Yes, mother, it is true. I was there when she did. Layla Phoenix. Issei Hayato, please stand up. I would be more than happy to offer a trade to Rias Gremory for you if that is what you want. But I would like to know what happened after our call and that caused this. Cough, Claire Phoenix. Mother, don't you think introduction are in orders? Bravo. Oh, big sister Claire, you're here as well? Claire? Yes, little sister, I came to visit mother and father. But enough about that, why don't you introduce me to the Securoot sister? I see scene break. Griefia? Oh no, Ravel. Surzix grabs hers and keeps from getting involved. Why? Surzix? Because we put our trust in her to reach issei, so I expect you to do the same. Rafia looked at her husband for a bit before nodding in agreement, and went back to watching the scene unfold before her. A wounded dragon. It has been 2 days since issei's rampage. Ravel had informed everyone about the incident, and how the girls contributed to it. Those informed, which included the 4 Mouse, Lord Michael, and Azazel, expressed their outrage. They unanimously decided that this behavior would not go unpunished, and that the punishment would be severe. They then requested permission from Ravel to use her memories and create a memory crystal to show everyone what had transpired. Ravel agreed. Currently, everyone is gathered at the Haida Mansion for a meeting. Present at the meeting are Layla Phoenix, Lord Phoenix, Benelana Gremory, Ziaticus Gremory, Mickey Angoro Hayadu, Sona and her queen Tsubaki, Gabriel from the Angels, Barakiel from the Fallen Angels, Surzix, Graphia, Rias and her peerage except Roswas, who wants nothing to do with Rias or the incident the peerage caused. She was put in charge of watching over issei while they had the meeting, and Zenobia was still in the hospital recovering from what issei did to her, along with Ravel and Irina. The purpose of the meeting was to discuss issei's rampage, the consequences of the girls' actions, and to inform issei's parents about what happened to their son, and everything that has happened to him since the day he was reincarnated as a devil and entered the supernatural world. Surzix, thank you everyone for coming, especially Mickey and Goro. Issei's parents. This is not going to be easy to explain, so I think first I should just show you everything, and I would ask that you would save your questions for the end. As everyone exchanged glances, their anticipation palpable, Surzix carefully placed the memory crystal at the center of the table. The crystal flickered to life, projecting its contents onto the screen in the grandeur of the living room. The room fell silent save for gasps that escaped the lips of those present. Various emotions danced across their faces: shock, fear, anger, and disappointment. For a staggering 35 minutes, the memory played out its tale, leaving an indelible impact on the hearts and minds of all who bore witness. At the conclusion of the memory crystal, Goro Hyudu, his expression a mix of disdain and sorrow, finally broke the silence. His voice rang with conviction as he confronted the individuals present. Goro, you selfish brats, how could you betray my son in such a manner? You disregarded his emotions, cut him off before he had the chance to fully express himself, and completely failed to notice the despair welling within him. Each and every one of you turned on him. What's even more surprising is that you turned on him as well, Irina, a childhood friend who should have known better. But you joined in belittling him and adding to the mockery. Your actions disgust me. Mickey, trembling with a mix of anger and anguish, stepped forward to address those who had brought harm to her beloved son. Mickey? How dare you treat my boy in this manner? Especially you, Asia. He brought you into our home, considered you a sister, and we embraced you as our own daughter. And yet, this is how you choose to repay his kindness. Moreover, your actions almost led my son down a path from which there would be no return. You pushed him to the brink, fanning the flames of his rage and unleashing a fury that turned my baby boy into a cold-blooded killer that could have claimed innocent lives due to you whores. I cannot fathom how my own flesh and blood could possess such destructive potential. All of you did that to him, and ignored his trauma, which led to this maddened state. He even came close to ending the life of the very woman who saved him from his own turmoil. I hold you responsible for this, you heartless whores. As the words echoed throughout the room, a heavy silence fell once again. The weight of the truth simmered in the air, filled with sorrow and regret. The Haydu family's pain was evident, their love for their son radiating from every word spoken. Surzix, it is clearer that profound wounds have been inflicted upon young Issei Haydu and his loving family. The consequences of your actions extend far beyond mere words. The time for questions and explanations will come, but let us first acknowledge the gravity of this situation and the impact it has had on everyone involved. Only through genuine understanding and heartfelt remorse can we hope to pave the path towards healing and redemption. Then 6 terrifying, oppressive, and horrifying auras started to be radiated from 6 different individuals. Layla Phoenix, Rias Gremory, I must express my deep disappointment and utter disbelief at your heartless actions. I implored both you and the Red Dragon Emperor to protect my precious daughter on that fateful day. Yet, instead of fulfilling your duty, you chose to berate him, transforming the very man entrusted with my daughter's safety into a monster who could have potentially taken her life. I am not placing blame on the boy, as it is evident that he has undergone immense trauma that was never properly addressed. Your incompetence as a king is glaring, for you failed to recognize the emotional turmoil he was experiencing. To make matters worse, you indulged in your own selfish needs and prioritized your feelings over his well-being. Furthermore, the entire situation was worsened by everyone piling onto that poor boy. It was my courageous and compassionate daughter, Ravel, who had the strength and willpower to extend her hand to him, opening her heart and rescuing him from the depths of his madness and despair. Something that a so-called childhood friend and reincarnated angel didn't do. I shuddered at the thought that I could have lost my daughter as a result of your actions, Lord Phoenix. Rias, you entitled little bit Brad? Do you honestly believe that my son would be a suitable choice for you and your entitled peerage, along with that angel? After all, you had that boy fight for your freedom, and he nearly died in the process. He displayed more courage and determination than you have ever shown in your entire life, you spoiled Brad. At the time, I may not have been fond of him, but even I could recognize and appreciate the unwavering determination he possessed to fulfill his king's dreams. However, the choices you made, Rias, have jeopardized the lives of others and showed blatant disregard for the man who saved you on numerous occasions, including your own peerage. By transforming him into a repulsive and twisted version of himself, you have put my daughter, your peerage, the people of Kau, Seraphol, your sister-in-law, and importantly, Mr. and Mrs. Hadu's son at risk. It is important for you to understand that, inevitably, the leaders would have been forced to bring down the hero of the underworld before he caused further loss of life. The responsibility for these deaths would have ultimately rested upon you, and your peerage, and the hands of the reincarnated angel. Your collective actions, belittlement, degradation, and betrayal have caused immense harm. It is disheartening to see how quickly you discarded someone who had done so much for you and your group. Despite his efforts to go above and beyond for you, you dismissed him because he did not adhere to your desires. If it were not for my daughter's intervention, the consequences would have been even more devastating. Ultimately, the gravest loss would have been the transformation of a hero into a monster, and for that reason, you should all be ashamed of yourselves. Layla Phoenix, Mr. and Mrs. Hyoto, please accept my sincerest apologies for the unforgivable actions committed against your son. As a parent myself, I can only imagine the profound anguish and despair that must consume your hearts. The degrading treatment he endured in witnessing such a good-hearted boy who's only ever wanted to make others happy and be loved by another, but instead he was made to feel worthless and disposable by the ones he thought cared about him, which led it to him giving in to his despair and turning an otherwise sweet and caring boy into an entity capable of causing harm to those who care for him innocently is truly inexcusable. I firmly believe that deep down, your son would have regretted his actions as any individual would when forced into such a dire situation due to the choices made by others. Lord Phoenix, my deepest apologies to you as well. As a father of 3, I can empathize with the emotions you must be experiencing. Witnessing one's own child subjected to such humiliation and verbal abuse is a sight no parent should have to endure. Your son has undeniably been a hero in the realm of the underworld, his unwavering dedication and selflessness applauded by children and adults alike. It appears that my daughter, too, has developed strong affections for him, and for that, I express my regret that your son has had to endure this ordeal. Mickey? I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to all of you, noble phoenixes, for the incredible compassion and empathy you have shown towards our family. I cannot find the words to adequately convey how deeply appreciative I am for the profound impact your daughter's intervention has had on my son's life. With her unwavering determination and tireless efforts, she has become his guardian, shielding him from his darkest moments. Your selfless actions exemplify a level of kindness that is truly unparalleled, and I will forever cherish the immense gratitude I have for both of you, esteemed phoenixes, and your extraordinary daughter. Barrow? I can't help but join my beloved wife, Mickey, in expressing my profound gratitude for the incredible kindness and understanding that you, noble phoenixes, have shown to our family. Your daughter's exceptional courage and unwavering support played a crucial role in rescuing my son from the depths of despair, even in the face of baseless criticism and adversity. The gratitude that fills my heart is immeasurable. Your exceptional parenting has raised an extraordinary young woman, and for that, I am forever grateful. Ravel, words could not adequately express the depth of my appreciation for your pivotal role in saving my beloved son and providing him with the love and care he so desperately needed. By providing your unwavering support, genuine care, and affection for my son, I offer my deepest appreciation and thanks from the bottom of my heart. Mickey and Goro humbly bowed, their actions expressing deep respect and gratitude towards the phoenixes. They were overwhelmed with appreciation, and their gestures spoke volumes about their heartfelt thanks. Ravel stepped toward Mickey and Goro, gently taking their hands and requesting that they refrain from bowing before she addressed them. Ravel, there's no need to bow or thank me. I am moved beyond words by your expressions of gratitude. Please know that I helped your son in his time of need out of my genuine love for him. So, your heartfelt appreciation brings warmth to my heart. Just knowing I could save the man who has not only captured my heart in a way I could have never thought, but showed me that the fairy tales and stories my mother told me as a child about heroes and brave knights are not just stories. Your son incorporates an undying and unshatterable will, even when everyone else has fallen around him. He will continuously get up and fight to the bitter end. He will go above and beyond to save the lives of the innocent and protect them, even giving his own life. He will face down any threat or foe, even if there is no chance of winning, because he will continue to try. His determination to pull through and bring hope to others is a rallying point for all those who look upon him. He gives hope to the children of the underworld, representing that it doesn't matter where you come from or who you are, you can be a hero. He represents all that is noble and good through his own actions. In my eyes, Mr. and Mrs. Haidu, your son is literally a brave and gallant knight, in his red crimson armor. Then the girls, and even boys, that he thought of as his lovers and brothers, started to belittle him and degrade him, crushing him with each word they said. I couldn't take it, seeing the man that I viewed as my own knight being torn down and destroyed. I didn't want to watch that anymore, so I decided that if he's going to be my knight, I'm not just going to be his princess, I will be his shield when he needs to be protected. I did what I did even though I could have been seriously hurt, or even killed by the very man that I love, because I refused to let the person I thought could only exist in fairy tales go from being a hero to being degraded to a monster because of the actions of others who showed no compassion or care for him. I had no issue going above and beyond to try to bring him back, to keep him from falling further into darkness at any cost, and I would do it again because, Mr. and Mrs. Haidu, that's how much your son means to me. Mickey and Gaurav were taken aback by the admiration and affection expressed towards their son. The love conveyed in every word spoken by this girl made it clear that she genuinely cared for him. They were on the verge of responding when another individual, the angel Gabriel, broke the silence. Gabriel, you possess a remarkable kindness, as evident in your words. Your love for his issei resonates deep within your heart and soul. He is truly fortunate to have someone like you in his life. And you are equally blessed to have found a partner like Issei, clad in his heroic red dragon armor. Ravel, your loving nature and beauty are remarkable. As an observer, I witnessed the regret and fear in Issei's eyes when he realized he had unintentionally harmed you. Surely, he now feels profound remorse as he recollects his senses. I sincerely hope for his swift recovery, and please inform me when he awakens. I would be delighted to visit him. Bravo, I appreciate your kind words, Lady Gabriel. I will certainly let you know when he awakens, as well as inform the other leaders if anyone else wishes to see him. Gabriel? Thank you. Now, let's discuss Irina Shida. You have dishonored the title of my brother Michael's ace. As an angel, you should show compassion and love, but you let your emotions take over and give in to selfish desires. This is highly disappointing, and I'm sure your parents will be equally dismayed. Their status as an angel is now in jeopardy, and the Saris will decide whether you should keep your angelhood. They will witness the monster you turned your childhood friend into, and how you turned your back on him. I suggest you voluntarily surrender your ace card and return to being an ordinary human unless you wish to become a fallen angel. But if that is the path you desire, it does not accurately depict the true essence and capabilities of an angel. At present, you have only demonstrated numerous reasons for which you may fall from the divine grace of heaven. Irina could only cry and cover her head with her hands, knowing the consequences of her actions. Not only did she destroy her childhood friend by turning him into a monster who would have killed her if given the chance, but she has also lost the right to be an angel and could become a fallen one. Gabriel. Mr. and Mrs. Haydu, I deeply apologize for the unfortunate incident involving your son. He did not deserve such treatment, especially considering his extraordinary contributions to the underworld and the supernatural realm. He has consistently proven himself as a heroic individual, always willing to put his life on the line for others. But the purest of hearts, he is a rare gem that only comes along once in a lifetime. You should be proud of him. To those who played a part in turning this compassionate young man into the monster we witnessed, you should be ashamed of yourselves, particularly you, Asia. I had higher expectations for you, but it seems I was mistaken. I assume Zenobia is still recovering in the hospital from what we all saw, say, due to her. I will inform Griselda so she can visit her. Though she may be disappointed, she still wants to ensure her daughter's well-being. As for the rest of you, I hope you reflect on your actions and feel remorse for what you have done to such a kind-hearted individual. I hope you understand the magnitude of what you have lost and the possible consequences of your actions. I must take my leave now as I have some urgent matters to attend to regarding Irina's situation. However, I wanted to convey heaven's condolences for your son, as well as apologize for the misconduct displayed by one of our angels towards him. I hope to have the opportunity to speak with all of you at greater length next time, Mr. and Mrs. Hiro, and the same goes for you, Ravel. Until then, farewell to all. Gabriel's words were punctuated by the appearance of a teleportation circle beneath their feet. With a bright light, she disappeared, leaving the others to continue their conversation. Mickey, can everyone teleport? I apologize for my ignorance, as the realization that my son is a hero and part of the supernatural world has been overwhelming for me. Briffia? I understand that this situation is overwhelming for you, especially considering the recent discovery about your son. We are here to support you, and I consider your son like a little brother. Serafal, unfortunately, couldn't join us due to other obligations. Also, please know that the actions your son took were not reflective of his true nature, as they were a result of what the girls did to him. Mickey? I'm relieved to hear that none of you hold any grudges against my son. I know he would never harm you under normal circumstances. It's comforting to know that my son has an older sister figure like you, who is wise and beautiful. Graphia, your kind words flatter me, ma'am. Your son is truly special, and I feel fortunate to have him as my little brother. At that moment, Lady Venelana Gremory stood up and approached Mickey, bowing respectfully. Venelana, Mr. and Mrs. Hiato, I sincerely apologize for the pain and suffering my foolish daughter has caused to you and your family through this situation. Layla Phoenix spoke up. Layla Phoenix? Lady Venelana, you shouldn't blame yourself for this. You weren't present, and I know issei wouldn't hold a grudge against you for something your daughter did. He is a kind-hearted boy, after all. Mickey took Venelana's hand and spoke to her. Mickey, both of us, as women, can understand the powerful emotions that come with being in love. It can make us feel amazing but can also lead us to do foolish things, acting on our emotions without considering the consequences. I somewhat understand why your daughter acted the way she did, but I cannot forgive or justify her approach. She prevented my son from expressing his feelings and disregarded all the positive things he had done for her and the other girls. However, I want to be clear that I do not hold you responsible for your daughter's actions. Parents cannot always control their children, and it would be foolish to think otherwise. Venelana. I see now. I appreciate your kind words, and I can see where your son gets his kind heart from. Ravel, you have grown into an elegant and loving woman. I can understand why you are more suitable to be the woman meant to be with him rather than my own daughter. Prius. But mother, Lady Venelana approached her daughter, and all that could be heard was a loud slap. Slap! Riaz felt the sting of her mother's slap on her cheek, observing the redness and throbbing in the spot where she had been struck. She turned towards her mother, whose eyes were filled with anger and disappointment. Riaz? Mother? Penelana? No, be silent, Riaz. Today, I have learned disheartening things about you that have left me feeling like a failure as a mother. I recognize that your impulsive tendencies may have stemmed from me, and I regret not intervening to guide you, just as your brother had to restrain his own impulses. However, I refuse to take responsibility for your current actions. You alone are accountable for what you have done. It appears that you were not meant to be with that boy. If you could not appreciate him as a king, I doubt you could appreciate him as a partner or wife. There he is. That is not true. Xiaticus Gremry stepped forward, standing beside his wife before addressing Riaz. Xiaticus? No, Riaz, you cannot talk your way out of this. I saw how you all treated him, denying him the chance to speak. If you had given him a chance, you might have gotten the answer you wanted. But your selfishness prevented you from seeing the pain and betrayal in his eyes. We all saw it, except you and the others present. You were supposed to be his lovers, caring for him, while Kiba and Gasper were meant to be his brothers. But where was your loyalty when he needed you? It was non-existent. It is not wrong to oppose the king when they are in the wrong. In fact, it is best to do so. Yet you showed that your loyalty to the king was stronger than the bond you had with Issei from the battles you fought together. In combat, a warrior will always choose their battle brother over their loyalty to the king. It is that loyalty in battle, knowing your brother has your back, that matters. But you chose to run and let your comrade suffer, allowing him to be attacked from behind. It so happens that you were the one who stabbed him in the back. Fiba and Gasper, your actions do not align with the words you exchanged with Issei. Your actions showed that if the king demanded it, you would treat him like an enemy. You chose your king over the bond you had formed with Issei's brothers. That knife in his back, driven by his former brothers, can never be healed. You have brought this upon yourselves and must now face the consequences. Then, Alana, I understand and share the sentiments of my husband when it comes to the situation involving you, Kiba, and Gasper. Issei's intentions were sincere in his efforts to help you find solace and overcome the anger you held within. He consistently supported your pursuit of vengeance for your fallen comrades, tirelessly guiding and keeping you focused on that path. It is disheartening to witness how you now choose to treat him, disregarding the immense support he provided. Similarly, Gasper, issei, acted like a big brother to you, offering guidance and imparting valuable life lessons to help you come out of your shell and tried to make you into a respectable man. Your betrayal of someone who went above and beyond to support and train you is indeed disappointing and hurtful. My disappointment extends to all of you girls as well. Regrettably, amidst your actions, it was Revel Phoenix who displayed wisdom and attempted to steer all of you away from this destructive behavior. Tragically, her pleas fell on deaf ears, and the consequences led to an upheaval that turned an innocent and loving boy, who only wanted to feel love from you girls, and have a brotherly bond from you boys, into the monster that we all witnessed. However, I must commend Revel for her resilience and remarkable ability to bring him back to his senses. It is because of her unwavering presence that I sincerely believe she has surpassed all of you in this contest for love. The treatment you have shown towards the man you claim to love is unkind, heartless, and cruel. It is because of that I believe all of you girls have lost this war of love to Revel Phoenix. Xiaticus, I agree, my love. Let us not forget the words our daughter said. It is important that we follow through with the words we say, even if they were spoken in the heat of the moment. Therefore, it is time for you to know one of your punishments. You said that Issei should not remain in the Gremry household because he would bring shame and embarrassment. But you were wrong, my daughter. It is you who have brought shame to our clan. You have failed to treat our servants as family, as our clan is known for. My son, I believe you have already contemplated this. I would like to hear your thoughts, as I'm sure everyone else would as well. Mickey? What are you all talking about? If this has to do with my boy, please tell me. Thero? Please tell us if this involves our son. We deserve to know everything. Serzex then spoke up. Serzex? It is a lot to explain, but I will provide all the details before we continue with our current conversation. After approximately 15 minutes of explaining the events and how the evil P system works, Issei's parents were informed that he was killed on his date with the fallen angel. This traumatic experience led to his current situation of losing control and transforming into a monster. The revelation of their son's death on his first date shocked them, as well as the realization that it caused his trauma and fear of falling in love again. Mickey was devastated to hear about her son's heartache and began weeping in her husband's arms, finding solace in Garo's comfort. Everyone else stood silently, allowing them time to process and come to terms with the overwhelming situation. After 10 minutes, they regained their composure to continue the conversation. Pavel offered comfort to Mickey before she spoke. "Mickey, thank you all for your patience. This is a lot to take in. I am grateful to Ravel for being there for my son. So, let me clarify, my son was killed by a fallen angel, and these evil pieces were used by your sister to revive him. Frankly, I don't want my son anywhere near that bitch or those whores." "Arrow?" "Agreed. It is not beneficial for our son to be in the company of someone who mistreats others and only cares about their own interests. They may claim to be very caring and considerate to others' emotions, but when it comes to supporting others during difficult times, they fall short, much like a certain childhood friend Mickey and I thought would always stand by him and support him, but it turns out she'll turn on him just like anyone else, disregarding his own emotions in favor of her own." These words deeply hurt everyone. Kiba looked down, Gasper fought back tears, and the girls cried. Irina, in particular, realized she might have lost the only person she could fall in love with due to her foolish actions. Riaz grew nervous about the potential punishment her family had in mind for her. "Certsix, that's why I intend to have your son Essie removed from my sister's peerage. She clearly lacks the understanding of what her peerage needs. And honestly, Essie is the one who fixed the issues within the peerage. I understand your hesitation in having him near her. Mickey, if I remember correctly, from what you told me, high-class devils are automatically given their evil pieces at a certain time, correct?" "Certsix?" "Yes, that's correct." Nikki looked at her husband before both of them turned their gaze to Ravel, and then back to Certsix, who raised an eyebrow. "Nikki, Lord Lucifer, I would like my son to be a part of the woman who rescued him from darkness. I want him to be a part of Ravel Phoenix's peerage." This statement shocked everyone, especially Ravel. She was surprised that they would want their son to join her. Rias and her peerage were heartbroken, as this meant they would lose Issei as a result of the punishment. "Ravel? Mrs. Haydu? Mickey? My dear, you may call me Mickey your mom." Ravel blushed when she heard that. "Ravel? Okay, Mickey. While I am able to have my own peerage, I don't believe I'm ready for the responsibility yet. I also don't believe I am strong enough to handle having your son transferred to my service." "Barrow? Why not? And what does she mean by not being strong enough?" "Raphia? What Ravel means is that she isn't confident in her abilities to manage a peerage at this time. Before revealing the identity of the devil we have in mind, allow me to explain the intricate process that surrounds the trading of devil pieces. It is indeed a crucial matter, requiring the devil in question to possess a certain level of strength and power. If one's strength is lacking, additional pieces must be utilized to complete the reincarnation. Hence, it is regrettable to inform you that your son's intended master, Ravel, might currently lack the necessary might to undertake such a responsibility. Mickey, as a concerned parent, I am unwilling to expose my son to the potential mistreatment or unfamiliarity that may arise from trading him to an unknown devil. Certsix? Be at ease, for we would never allow him to be traded to a high-class devil whom we cannot fully place our trust in or who possesses dubious intentions. Brauthia, I can understand the depth of your faith in Ravel, as evidenced by your earnest request for her to be your son's new master. Your words provide great solace and joy, and she must feel immensely flattered upon hearing such sentiments from the parents of the man she loves. Nevertheless, the truth remains that Ravel's current strength might not meet the required threshold for your son's trade. However, we have another candidate in mind. Mickey Goro. Please enlighten us. Who might this individual be? Certsix. I believe the most suitable person to take care of his say in his current situation and have Ravel in her peerage is Layla Phoenix. Layla Phoenix. My lord, I am taken aback by this request since I was not informed beforehand. However, I am open to this idea. May I know the reason behind your choice, my lord Lucifer? Xerxes. We chose you because we believe you can provide issei with the necessary care he needs, both mentally and physically, while keeping Ravel by his side as she is part of your peerage. Additionally, being part of the Phoenix clan would prevent other clans or the council from targeting him for their own gain. It works out well since you do not participate in the raiding games, so there is no concern about you using him for your own prestige, considering your status. That is my reasoning behind this decision. Mickey looked at Xerxes, then turned to Layla Phoenix. She walked up to her and grabbed her hand. Mickey, as a mother, you told me that you understood the pain I went through when I saw what happened to my son. And it was your daughter who brought him out of that state. I may not know you well, but your daughter has a good heart, and she must have been raised by a wonderful woman to be the way she is. If my son can be around your daughter more and receive emotional support for any traumatic issues, I have no problem if you are the one he is entrusted to. Please, Lady Phoenix, take care of my son. I may be his mother, but I feel that I may not be able to help him fully in this world where his problems are greater than what I can comprehend. It pains me to admit it, but it is the truth. Nikki started crying, realizing she had to acknowledge her limitations. Suddenly, Layla Phoenix hugged her tightly. Layla Phoenix, you don't need to say any more. This is an extreme situation, and it does not reflect on your motherly abilities. Your son would take any help you could offer him, but it takes a strong woman to admit that she cannot fully take care of her own son the way she would want. I understand, and if you're fully on board with this, I have no problem taking in your son as one of my peerage. Your son will be in good care. I do not participate in the raiding games, so you will not have to worry about him being asked to fight for prestige. I will always put his health above all else, whether mental or physical. He will be treated like he would be my own. And he will have my little Ravel by his side. If you are all fine with it, then I have no problem taking in your son. Do you have anything against this decision, my love? Lord Phoenix, I fully support your son, Issei, joining my wife's peerage. He has proven to be a valuable influence on my son Riser. Issei taught him humility and the importance of not relying solely on his inherited abilities. He demonstrated to Riser that even with the powers of the Phoenix, he is still vulnerable and can be defeated through strategic tactics. This lesson has helped Riser become a better person, less prideful, and more respectful towards his own peerage and women in general. I am grateful to Issei for this positive impact on my son's life. Joining my wife's peerage is a small way for me to repay him. I am committed to providing full support to Issei, and if there are other ways in which I can assist, I am willing to go out of my way to help. Issei has also captured the heart of my daughter, Ravel, and as a loving father, I want to see her happy. I witnessed her determination in bringing back the man she loves from despair. Therefore, I have no objections to Issei joining my wife's peerage. Rest assured, Issei will be well cared for, and we will ensure he receives the necessary physical and mental support to overcome his trauma. This is my assurance to you as the head of the Phoenix clan. Trias. I object to say is mine, and I. At that moment, Ravel, having heard enough, punched Trias. This action surprised everyone, as they did not expect Ravel to react this way. Layla and Mickey also broke off their hug at the same time. Lady Phoenix intended to stop the situation from escalating, but Mickey advised her to let it unfold for the time being. Ravel questioned Ria's Gremory, expressing her confusion regarding Ria's statements. She reminded Rias that they both witnessed the same events, including Issei's transformation into a mindless, bloodthirsty monster. Ravel pointed out that Rias had not apologized to the people in her peerage who were almost killed during Issei's rampage, such as Asia and Zenobia. She also mentioned Ria's sister-in-law and her best friend's sister, Seraphil, were hurt by Issei, questioning if Rias had apologized to them as well. Ravel further inquired why she herself had not received an apology, considering she had to witness her beloved turn into such a dangerous being. Ravel accused Rias of avoiding responsibility for her actions and holding a possessive belief that Issei belonged solely to her. Moreover, Ravel criticized Rias for making such claims in the presence of Issei's parents and her own family, who were all affected by his rampage. She firmly stated that Rias was unfit to be a king, let alone Issei's king, and did not deserve him. Ravel promised to protect Issei from Rias and vowed to never let any of them come near him. She declared that their relationship had been irreparably damaged because, despite Issei always being there for them, they had all turned against him when he needed their support the most. Ravel warned Rias to stay away from Issei and threatened to unleash the Phoenix Hellfire upon her if necessary if it meant protecting Issei. The unexpected outburst from the girl took everyone by surprise. However, it didn't elicit negative reactions. In fact, one person approached Ravel from behind, sporting a wide smile, and embraced her lovingly. "Mickey? I approve." "Ravel? What?" "Mickey? I approve of you marrying my son." Observing a woman openly and unreservedly defending my son, driven by genuine love, convinces me that you are the one for him. I see the love you have for my son, and I believe my husband can see it as well. And it's safe to assume that everyone present in this room, except for those blinded by the misconception that my son is mere property, can also see it. If your parents agree, I have no objection to you marrying my son. Layla Phoenix, my dear Ravel, it seems that you are planning to marry the man you love, Issei. Both your father and I have no objections to this union. I am confident that once your brothers are informed of the situation and what has happened to Issei, they too will have no objections. Rest assured, we will ensure that the council does not pressure you into any other marriage. It is clear that you and Issei have chosen each other, and I believe that he shares the same sentiment. However, we should wait until he wakes up and is capable of understanding before informing anyone else. We must be mindful not to overwhelm him, as he has much to overcome before we can even approach that subject. But know that you have my blessing, my daughter. Bravo. Mother, I am incredibly happy that I get to be with the man I love, and I understand that right now he is not in a proper emotional state to worry about that, so I'll be patient until he's ready to go to the next step of our relationship. Layla Phoenix had a smile on her face after hearing her daughter's words. But that's when Mickey spoke up. After that, Mickey let go of Ravel. To her curiosity, she saw Mickey walking towards Rias and her peerage and Irina. Then spoke to them in a very serious and emotionless tone. "Mickey, I want to address a few things to all of you, including Irina and the others. I have made the decision that none of you will be allowed to marry my son or have any involvement in his life. You all have played a significant role in transforming my loving and happy son into a bloodthirsty and rage-filled monster. It saddens me to see what you have done to him, turning him into someone who knows only anger and rage. If it hadn't been for Ravel, he might have continued on this destructive path until someone had to put him down like some rabid animal, the rabid animal you all turned my son into. But thankfully, she helped him regain his senses, and I could see the horror and regret in his eyes when he realized what he had become. Based on that, I am certain that none of you deserve to be a part of his life. Specifically you, Irina. I had once envisioned a future where you and Issei would be together, raising a family and giving us grandchildren. However, I now find that thought disgusting because I now know, Irina, you are not worthy enough for my son, and that goes for the rest of you, heartless horse. It is possible that he may forgive you all in time, but I can assure you that I will never forgive you, nor will my husband, for what you have done. Therefore, none of you will ever have the privilege of marrying our son. I will ensure that he finds someone better than any of you, and he has already found that person in Ravel. She is the only girl who will receive my blessings to marry my son, because she has proven through her actions that she is deserving, unlike the rest of you. And as for you two boys who claim to be my son's brothers, your actions have shown a lack of loyalty and trustworthiness. My son does not need friends like you in his life, just as my wife has expressed regarding the girls. Therefore, I believe that you should not be a part of his life in any way. My stance on this matter is clear, and I share my wife's thoughts on all of you girls. The same goes for you boys. I have nothing more to add. After the intense verbal assault that Mr. and Mrs. Heide gave to those who put their son in this situation, a heavy silence engulfed the room. The sheer magnitude of animosity, venom, and disdain conveyed through their words and emotions left everyone stunned. Everyone present recognized the validity of their remarks and agreed with Issei's parents' resolve to separate their son from those accountable for what happened. Irina suddenly ran out of the room, overwhelmed with heartbreak and tears. The parents of the man she loved had said something that shattered any hope of being with him. As she fled, she couldn't help but feel that her chances of the future together were irreversibly lost. Those remaining in the room were also in tears, except for one individual who had remained silent up until that point. Filled with anger, this person finally spoke out. Baikino, why the cruelty? Why the added pain? What's the reason for pushing us away, denying us a place in his life as friends? We accept our mistake, can acknowledge its seriousness, but the punishment seems excessively harsh. We now realize that we should have been more considerate of his traumatic past, the death he experienced, which we couldn't have known would lead him to a severe breakdown and transformation into a monster on a rampage. Our approach was misguided, and we should have handled it differently. However, at that time, we were young women overwhelmed by our emotions, not taking his feelings into account. We understand that innocent lives were almost lost due to our actions, a stain that would have marked him, not us. Nevertheless, Mr. and Mrs. Haydu, this feels too cruel. Please understand that we have all lost ourselves and our emotions in this situation, especially Irina. It seems that your recent words have crossed the line of cruelty. Arakil walked up to Aquino and slapped her. Arakil? Mind your tongue, Aquino. Do you believe the situation is so trivial that you can speak so recklessly? Aquino, still holding her cheek which had just been slapped, looked at her father with a mixture of confusion and anger before responding. Bakino? But? Barakil? Silence, listen to me. It seems that you failed to grasp their emotions, as expected, since you are not a parent and cannot fully understand what they are going through. However, I urge you, my daughter, to try to see from the perspective of a parent. Can you not see that the memories projected by the crystal were interpreted differently by them? They witnessed their son being admonished, neglected, and emotionally broken in front of their eyes. No one came to his aid. Instead, everyone turned against him, except for Ravel. But even this one act of support was insufficient. You and the others continued to push him until he was ultimately shattered. In their eyes, their beloved playful son, despite his slight inclination towards perversion, transformed into a mindless, bloodthirsty, and heartless monster. He became a creature that didn't care who or what he attacked. To make matters worse, they saw him almost take the lives of 2 of your friends, not to mention the 3 individuals who were attempting to calm him down and bring him back to his senses. I never realized how much I failed you as a father. But it seems that it is not only my failure, but also your late mother Shuri's. Do you not understand why they are so enraged and devastated by your actions, every single one of them? Bokendo heard the statement her father said and couldn't hold back her tears. She also ran out of the room. Borakil let out a sigh before walking towards Mr. and Mrs. Haydu. He bowed in front of them before speaking. Borakil, I deeply apologize for my daughter's actions towards your son. Neither me nor Shuri intended to raise her to behave in such a manner. Moreover, I am indebted to your son more than I can ever repay, especially now. He played a significant role in repairing the relationship between my daughter and me, prompting her to embrace her flaws. Witnessing what she did to him fills me with regret and guilt. The magnitude of remorse I feel for her actions towards the man who did so much for our family is indescribable. I can only hope that you find it in your hearts to forgive me for my failure as a parent. Mickey? Mr. Borakil, it is unnecessary for you to shoulder the burden of your daughter's transgressions. Today, both my husband and I discovered that our son was more than what we initially perceived him to be. He is a kind-hearted man, someone we raised him to be, and we are proud of that. We have always embraced him for who he is, regardless of his quirks. To realize that he has done so much good, becoming a role model for children is truly remarkable. He played a pivotal role in mending your relationship with your daughter, and I highly doubt he would want you to bear the weight of her actions or appear disheveled and apologetic. Your actions are distinct from hers, and she is old enough to discern right from wrong. What she did was unquestionably wrong, and she possessed the capability to make the right decision. You need not shoulder the blame for your daughter's actions, and I believe your wife would share the same sentiment. Thero? Mr. Borkiel, my wife is right. We, as parents, should not blame ourselves for the mistakes our children make. Our role is to guide them and equip them with the necessary tools to make the right decisions in life. There comes a point where we have done our best as parents, and it is up to them to make use of the information we have given them. While it may be difficult, we should not blame ourselves as fathers. I understand the emotions you must be experiencing, as I have seen my own son turn into someone I never imagined due to mishandled trauma. The revelation that he possesses supernatural abilities and as a hero has been overwhelming, but my main priority is my child. Similarly, you need to separate your daughter's mistakes from your own identity as a father and husband. Horatio. I understand now. Issei's kind and loving heart is a reflection of the good parenting he received from you and your wife. It is evident that the lessons you have imparted have had a profound impact on him. You have raised a son who possesses a compassionate nature and is willing to go to great lengths to help others. I am grateful to both of you for nurturing such a fine individual. Once everything had settled, Rias composed herself after the events of being punched by Ravel and hearing Issei's mother's rejection. She found her voice and spoke, determined not to let Issei be taken away from her. Rias? You cannot do this to me, you cannot take Issei away, I will not allow it. Her words caught everyone's attention, and they turned to listen. Before anyone could respond, Graphia, who rarely displayed her emotions, lashed out. Graphia! Enough, shut up, you spoiled princess! Rias and the others were taken aback by Graphia's sudden outburst of anger. Mickey and Garo sensed that this issue had been deeply troubling Graphia, and, deciding to remain silent, they listened to what she had to say. Graphia, your entitlement has always been apparent. Your brother and father constantly doted on you, creating a sense of superiority and privilege. I cautioned Sertsix about the consequences of enabling your behavior, but my warnings fell on deaf ears. You lack the understanding of working hard to earn something and refuse to accept it being taken away from you. And that poor boy, whom I consider to be a younger brother, you transformed him into a mindless, ruthless creature completely devoid of reason and morals. I had to intervene when I appeared in the orc room and witnessed Issei, in his balance breaker state, pointing his weapons at Asia with the intention to kill her. The concern and confusion I felt upon seeing what you had done to him was unimaginable. I knew it wasn't his own doing, it was the result of your spoiled nature pushing him over the edge, causing harm to an innocent boy who was genuinely kind and honest. When Ravel disclosed the full extent of your actions, I was consumed with anger. Your brother had to physically restrain me from tearing you apart and freezing you in ice for years. Rias? That's not. Rafia? I haven't finished yet, and I will prove to you that even in this current situation, you still display the behavior of a spoiled girl. Upon revisiting the memories of that day, you continue to exhibit a sense of entitlement. Your constant discussions about Issei suggest that you view him as a possession, an item solely for you to own. It is rather disrespectful to the people who love him, especially his parents, the woman who saved him, Ravel, and even in front of your own brother, mother, and everyone else present here. Your selfishness seems to have influenced others as well. Your actions have not only affected you, but also everyone in your peerage. Additionally, you have brought Irina down with you. It is likely that she will either become a fallen angel or have to give up being an angel altogether to avoid such a fate. However, it is important to note that her actions were a result of her own decisions. She could have chosen to side with ease, but somehow you convinced her to join you. Regardless, the consequences of her actions are hers to bear, just like yours. It appears that you failed to comprehend the gravity of what awaits you, as your punishments have only just begun. Let me make this unequivocally clear. Issei Hayato is not a possession for you to own. He is not an item or a plaything that you can show off like a shiny trophy. He is a unique individual, a kind, loving boy, who sought understanding and love from you and the girls in your group. Yet you could not provide him with that. You persistently refer to him as yours in front of everyone here, and it is tiresome. He is the hero of the underworld and the children. He is like a little brother to both me and Sertsix. He is Milika's beloved older brother figure. He is the cherished son of both Mickey and Goro Hayato, and as of now, he is Ravel Phoenix's fiancé. So, I urge you to realize that he does not belong to you, Rias, nor to your peerage or even to Irina. He is his own individual, not a toy or an object. Rias? Brother, are you going to let her say all those things and even talk to me like that? Sergiches was enraged by his sister's pure, spoiled nature at this point. He thought of his best friend Seraphil and his wife being held by the neck by the person he thought of as a little brother, all while in a blind rage and unaware of his actions. Thoughts of that day flooded through his mind once again. Unable to take it anymore, he spoke. Sertsix, shut up, Riaz. I'm going to let her berate you just like you did issei, and let her tell you everything you've done wrong. Apparently, you have forgotten that day when I witnessed my wife and one of my closest friends being held by the neck and nearly choked to death by the boy I consider a little brother, and all because little Rias wasn't being told what she wanted to hear. Rias? But Serzex. Enough. I said shut up, and you will listen to your devil king Lucifer while he is speaking. Serzex was fed up. Now let me remind you of something that you forgot, but from what issei told me a while back, by your request, you told him to refer to you as president. Or did you forget? Rias. I just wanted him to say my name. Sertsix, wait, am I understanding this right? You berated, mocked, and degraded them all because he didn't say your name. But let's remember, he was following your orders to call you president. Is there anything I've said that I don't understand? Rias, who was now fearful of answering, she knew that when her brother is truly upset, it doesn't matter who it is, they're in trouble, and nothing that could be said would get them out. But she also understood that not saying anything would be worse, so in a nervous and fearful tone, she answered her brother. Rias? Yes, everything you said is correct. Sertsix? You caused all this just because he didn't say your name? You endangered my wife, the mother of my child, your nephew, one of my closest friends, and your best friend's sister, Seraphil. They were nearly choked to death by someone we all care about. And you sent that boy into turmoil and despair, triggering his trauma. All because he didn't say your damn name. Upon hearing that, Sersages was at a loss for words. All of his anger was completely replaced with bewilderment and disappointment. He sat back down where his wife had put her hands on his shoulders. They looked at each other, and she smiled, trying to calm him down until he spoke again. Sertsix. I have truly failed as a brother to you and issei. I was a fool, thinking that allowing issei to be in your care would be the best. I was wrong, and it only caused him pain and hurt him more. I fully realize that spoiling you countless times has only caused problem after problem after problem, and Graphia was right. I should have stopped this years ago, and now I must deal with the consequences because of it. Zeoticus. Son, you are not the only one burdened with our mistakes. We are equally responsible for spoiling her. Then Ilana. Furthermore, she has inherited my impulsiveness and impatience. The entire family played a role in how she turned out. We are all at fault, however, you must bear the weight of your mistakes and rectify them. Zeoticus. Graphia, I apologize for not heeding your advice earlier. We should have acted sooner to prevent the situation. But dwelling on the past is futile. We must focus on making amends in the present and looking towards the future. To begin fixing the damage caused, I have decided that Urias and your entire peerage, excluding Roswas, will move out of the Hyder mansion and return to the Gremery apartment complex in the Cow area. Rias? What? You can't possibly be serious about this decision, Sertsix. I assure you, Rias, that we are indeed serious and have already made the necessary arrangements. Braphia? Before you vocalize your displeasure with our decision, it is important to understand that the Gremery House has consistently borne the financial burdens of the mansion and was instrumental in its construction. Zeoticus. However, we now acknowledge that the ownership of the house rightfully belongs to the Hyder family, who initially owned the property before we renovated it without their consent in the middle of the night, while they were asleep. I sincerely apologize for this transgression and for not seeking your permission beforehand. Mickey. We appreciate that you conducted the renovations while we were sound asleep, sparing us from the inconvenience of having to deal with construction work for months. We are grateful for this beautiful house you have provided us. Arrow. Furthermore, We acknowledge and express our gratitude for your kindness in assuming the responsibility for the majority of the utilities. Your gestures have not gone unnoticed, and we are thankful for the efforts made to restore the house to our family's name. Zeodicus. Thank you for your understanding. However, let us refocus on the matter at hand. Sergichus. Indeed, we need to address the issue of the bills being paid. At that moment, Lord Phoenix interrupted the conversation. Lord Phoenix. Allow me to intervene here. We would be more than willing to take care of all the utilities and any other associated bills regarding the Hadia mansion. Sergix. Perfect. Now, moving on to the punishments. As previously discussed, essay will be taken from you, Rias, regardless of your opinion in this matter. Additionally, considering that Roswas was the only member of your peerage who did not participate in belittling essay, we have decided to remove her from your peerage as well. We have already discussed this matter with Roswas, and she was very adamant about wanting to distance herself from your group once she learned the full story of what you did to Essay. She, personally, expressed her desire to be closer to Essay to assist in his recovery, given the mental trauma he has endured. With your permission, Lady Phoenix, we would appreciate it if Roswise could be a part of your peerage, provided it does not pose any inconvenience. Layla Phoenix, I welcome Roswise into my peerage without hesitation. I am certain Essay will feel more at ease and comfortable knowing that he has another familiar face supporting him through this challenging journey. Sergix. Excellent. That settles the matter then. Rias? You're taking another one of my peerage members away from me? This is unjust. Without Essay and Roswas, I cannot effectively compete in the upcoming rating game, Sergix. You will still participate in the upcoming rating game despite the absence of issei and Roswas. Consider it a form of punishment. Your opinions do not hold weight in our decisions. Zeodicus. If there are no further matters to discuss, we can conclude this meeting. My dear daughter and the members of your peerage should gather their belongings from their rooms and prepare to relocate, as they will not be staying here any longer. Asia, who had been shedding tears throughout the entire meeting, mustered up the courage to direct a question towards Mickey. Asia? Hold on, Mother. Does this mean I am also being forced to move out? Mickey, I am not sure who you are referring to as Mother, because I have never had a daughter. I only have a son, who I recently discovered has been subjected to abuse by a bunch of whores. Upon hearing this, Asia was once again overwhelmed with emotion and burst into tears, just as Aquino and Irina had done earlier. She hastily ran off, unable to contain her feelings any longer. Barrow, will someone come to collect Zenovia's belongings? What about Irina? Zeodicus. We will handle Zenovia's belongings and move them to her new apartment. You don't need to worry about that, Sergix. As for Irina, I will contact Michael and have him send someone to collect her belongings. Barrow. Thank you very much, Lord Sergix. Sergix? Please just call me Sergix. There is no need for formalities here. I am deeply sorry for the trouble my sister caused your son. Zeodicus. I must also apologize for my daughter's actions. If we hadn't spoiled her so much, we might not be in this situation. I'm sorry for how she treated your son. It goes against the values of the Grimmery family clan, which is known for treating our servants as family. It seems my daughter didn't understand or chose to ignore that, and she didn't fully comprehend the responsibilities that come with being a king of the peerage. Hopefully, we can teach her the true meaning of being a king and ensure this doesn't happen again. Barrow. I hope that works out for you, but as for us, we will stick to what we said. We do not want any of those girls or false brothers who betrayed my son to be around him. I hope that's all right with you. Sergichus. I completely agree with that. As a parent, I can understand your point of view. We will make sure they stay away from your son. Also, Sona, can you come here? Yes, Lord Lucifer. Sergichus. From now on, you are in full control of the town of Chao. I have already discussed this with your sister, and all the paperwork has been completed for the transfer. I cannot in good conscience allow her to run a city when she couldn't properly take care of her peerage. I don't know if this will be permanent or temporary, as the stress on you and your peerage might be too much eventually. So, we will look into having another high-class young devil join you as a co-leader, similar to Rias. Rias? Brother, you have taken 2 of my peerage members, and now you're taking my town away from me. This isn't fair. I made one simple mistake. Sona? You caused a serious incident with issei, and your response is to call it a simple mistake. The consequences of your actions could have been catastrophic. Luckily, the leaders were able to sense something was wrong and intervene in time. If they hadn't and Graphia hadn't arrived when she did, Asia and many others could have been killed. You have no idea what Issei was going through at that moment, the despair, madness, and descent into darkness. So it's not surprising that his instincts kicked in, feeling wounded. No wonder he attacked anything and everything that got his attention, like an animal backed into a corner. To make it worse, he was wounded, maybe not physically, but emotionally and mentally, which made the situation even worse. By hurting Hayato, you only added to the trauma he was already experiencing. Instead of being a responsible king to your peerage and addressing the issues within your group, you let him handle fixing everyone's issues in the peerage, when in reality that should have been your responsibility as the king. But what makes it worse is that after he helped everybody with their issues, when he needed help, none of you came to his rescue. The only person who did was Ravel Phoenix. She saved everyone, including him, by calming him down before he made a terrible mistake. That is because of your lack of understanding of how dangerous this situation could have been, especially if he had activated the Juggernaut drive, that they are taking away your responsibility as a leader. You clearly don't know how to properly handle and protect a territory or town, whether it's owned solely or co-owned. This lack of responsibility extends to your own peerage as well. I wouldn't be surprised if there's long-term damage caused by your actions. In the end, it might be better for Ravel because you might have shown to say that having multiple women who claim to love him doesn't mean they truly do. Having one woman who genuinely shows, acts, and is willing to do anything to protect the person she loves might teach him that having a harem doesn't equate to real love. You may have inadvertently taught him the value of monogamy. Congratulations, Sona said as she adjusted her glasses. Sirzix. She is correct. We cannot allow you to misuse your power in an attempt to impose your will on the Haida family. The decision to enact this punishment has already been made, so your opinion on the matter is neither required nor needed. Pack your belongings and prepare to move to your new apartment. This is an order from your devil king Lucifer. Briaz was overwhelmed by the constant blows to her ego and the news that she was losing her town, her friend Rose was, and her beloved issei. Eventually, unable to bear it any longer, she retreated upstairs, tears streaming down her face to begin packing. While all this was unfolding, Queen Tsubaki of Sonos approached Kiba, who was seated on the couch with his head lowered and his fists clenched tightly on his knees. Upon noticing Tsubaki's presence before him, he looked up and was suddenly struck with a forceful blow to his face. The impact caused him to fall from the couch and land on the floor. Struggling to regain his balance and rise from the ground, Kiba realized that his lip was bleeding. As he glanced up, he discovered Tsubaki, seething with anger, fixedly glaring at him with a look of utter hostility. Infused and wanting to speak, Kiba was interrupted by Tsubaki before he could say anything. Tsubaki? We are breaking up, Kiba? Wait, what? Can we discuss this somewhere else? Tsubaki? Did you even give Issei a chance to explain? Kiba? Tsubaki? Exactly. You didn't, so I'm not going to let you explain anything, just like you didn't allow Issei to. Just like how you didn't hesitate to insult him. You betrayed him like a coward. You act all noble, but that's just on the surface. I'm disgusted by you, but even more disgusted by myself for ever thinking you were a decent guy. Goodbye, Kiba. Don't talk to me anymore unless it's about our devil work. And delete my number. I never want to hear from you again. After Tsubaki expressed her feelings to Kiba, she returned to her position beside Sona, regaining her composure. The people around them were surprised by the situation, causing some shock. Kiba was forced to deal with the consequences of his actions. His peerage, which he considered his family, was falling apart, and he had recently been broken up with by his girlfriend. Now, he also realized that he had lost his say as a brother. Overwhelmed, Kiba stood up and quietly left the Hayadu mansion. He went back to his apartment to process everything that had just happened. Gasper, the young vampire, noticed and followed after Kiba to check if he was okay. Even Gasper could see that Kiba realized the consequences of their actions, and he was not prepared to pay the price that he is now. Just like Gasper himself had come to realize, consequences of their actions had a high price to pay, and they're all paying for it now. Sona? Tsubaki, are you all right? I was taken aback by the extent of your emotions and your behavior. It was quite surprising. Tsubaki? No, I am not all right. Learning that Kiba played a role in Issei's current state has deeply affected me. I am unable to regard Kiba in the same manner as before. This revelation has caused me significant distress, particularly when I consider the shared experiences and the numerous sacrifices Issei made on their behalf. We fought alongside each other, and now I find myself at a loss. Sona, you don't have to say anything else. I get it. I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to punch Riaz for what she did to him and how she scolded him. It's entirely her fault that he ended up in that uncontrollable state. Tsubaki, that's a bit out of character for you. But Ravel beat you to it, I must say. She can throw a mean right hook. Sona, smirk. Can't argue with that. Anyway, we should head out and inform the rest of our peerage about what happened and what Circeich has told us about what's to come. Tsubaki? You know Saji won't take this news well, right, Sona? Most likely, no one else in the peerage will either. Despite Haida's personality, he was always kind-hearted, making people smile and bringing joy wherever he went. I have to admit, he grew on me. No matter how dire the situation, he never gave up. It's a shame he was treated poorly and not valued more. Tsubaki. That's true. Hopefully, he gets better soon and we can visit him. Just as Tsubaki was about to activate a teleportation spell for both of them, they heard Ravel calling out for Sona to wait. Sona? Oh, Ravel, what can I do for you? Ravel? I just wanted to ask if you'd like to be notified when Ice wakes up and can be visited. I thought you and your peerage might want to see how he's doing. Sona was surprised by the offer, but there was a slight, unnoticed smile on her face, except for her queen, Tsubaki. Sona replied, expressing her gratitude and acceptance of the offer. She promised to bring the entire peerage to visit him, to show him that they cared and missed him. Ravel's face lit up with a sweet and bright smile upon hearing Sona's response. Ravel, thank you so much. It will surely do him good to see the people who still care about him when he wakes up. But I won't hold you up any longer. Hope to see you soon. Bravo then turned around and walked away. When she was out of hearing range, Tsubaki spoke. Tsubaki, it's clear that she truly loves him and wants the best for him, without a doubt. Sona? Agreed. Ria's really messed up. But at least I know that Hayato is in good caring hands, and will be able to visit him when he wakes up. After their conversation, Tsubaki activated the teleportation circle, enveloping both her and Sona in a blue light, and they disappeared. As Ravel made her way back to Miki and Goro, she was startled by a soft call coming from her right. Turning her head, she saw Kaneko standing there with her usual stoic expression, though her red and puffy eyes indicated that she had been crying. Prompted by curiosity, Ravel asked Kaneko what she needed. Kaneko hesitated for a moment before speaking, acknowledging that she didn't deserve to ask anything of Ravel after her involvement in causing turmoil for Issei. However, she expressed a desire to use her senjutsu to help ease Issei's mental state, for which she felt responsible. Ravel responded swiftly, her tone devoid of sympathy. She firmly refused Kaneko's request, making it clear that she would not allow her near Issei under any circumstances. Kaneko pleaded, requesting Ravel to at least convey her apologies to Issei and explain that she never intended to harm him. Ravel, Kaneko, what you intended and what actually happened are different things. I was present when you spoke those hurtful words with a spiteful tone. It doesn't matter what you want or what you want me to tell him. I will keep my promise to prevent any of you girls from being near him. Miki and Goro have made it clear that they don't want any of you near their son, considering the damage you've already caused. It would be wise for you to acknowledge your mistake and understand that you won't regain his affection. I will not allow you or the other girls to get close to him, his parents, or anyone else for that matter. You didn't seem to care when you were hurting him emotionally, even though you knew he was suffering and falling into despair. After all that, I don't care anymore. Your actions have shown me that you don't deserve to see him, and he won't receive any messages from you through me or anyone else. Goodbye, Kaneko. Afterwards, Kaneko, feeling defeated, tears streaming down her cheeks, turned around and headed upstairs to pack her things and move out. She accepted that she had to face the consequences of her actions and had lost someone she could have loved forever. She knew that she could never get him back. Then, she continued her path toward Mickey, Goro, and the rest of the group. Lord Phoenix? Oh, Ravel, did you ask Sona what she needed? Ravel? Yes, she said she will gather her entire peerage to visit him when he wakes up. Layla? That's good to hear. Issei will definitely need all the reassurance and support he can get to overcome this. It's still uncertain how deeply he has been affected. Bravia? I agree. We must not underestimate the damage done. But I have faith in his ability to overcome. He has a strong support system and a loving woman by his side to aid him. She said this with a slight smirk. Grafia, Layla, and Lord Phoenix exchanged a mischievous smiles with each other. Layla? Grafia, you are absolutely right. My daughter didn't hesitate to declare her love for the man, and I couldn't be happier. She has transformed into a confident and beautiful woman, no longer plagued by her shyness. Bravo, what, Rafia? She certainly showed Rias that she won't tolerate anyone mistreating her man. That punch to Rias' face was quite satisfying, I must say. He? Lord Phoenix? Indeed, once Essie recovers and their relationship blossoms further, he should watch out. He might be on the receiving end of her wrath if he upsets her. Moreover, if her looks are a sign of what she inherited from her mother, I fear for Essie's well-being during her pregnancy. Layla was quite aggressive and feisty during her own, which is likely a sign of her daughter's passion when it comes to something she deeply loves. Layla? True, I was quite feisty during my pregnancy with her. It foreshadowed her tenacious nature when it comes to something she cherishes. Then Alana. Era, is Ravel already thinking of having kids with issei soon? Should we be expecting little dragons and phoenixes flying around soon? Ravel blushed at the suggestion, her mind instantly filled with thoughts of her and issei being intimate and having children. She became lost in her fantasies, envisioning the family they could have. Her daydreaming was abruptly interrupted by a cough from Sertsix. Sertsix? I apologize for interrupting your personal thoughts, but I believe it would be a good idea for you to take Mickey and Goro to see Issei. It has been 2 days since they have seen him, and I'm sure they would like to check on him themselves after everything they've learned. Mickey? I appreciate everyone being here with me and helping me through this, along with my husband and the support we have received from all of you. I'm very grateful for that. However, I really want to know how my boy is doing. Goro, I also want to see how my boy is doing and what his current condition is. Sertsix? All right then. Ravel, would you and Grafia mind accompanying Mickey and Goro to the Leviathan mansion to check on Issei? Grafia? Certainly, my lord. Whenever you're ready, Mickey and Goro, you can come with me and Ravel to see your son. Ziaticus. We'll move the girls out while you visit Issei. Most of them have already returned after running off. We don't know where Irina is, but that's Lord Michael's problem now. Baracula is helping Aquino pack her things. Everyone should be done packing soon, and they'll be moved out. Then Alana. I've gathered most of Zenovia's things. Someone will come later to get the rest before you return. Sertsix. We'll also put a barrier around your house to prevent unwanted visitors and keep out threats. Lord Phoenix. Well, Ziaticus and I handle the paperwork for the house transfer. I'll cover the utility bills and other expenses, so you don't have to worry about that. Ziaticus. The deed and other documents will be delivered to you in the next 2 days. No need to worry about that either. Layla, we'll have someone change your locks, install a new security system, and fencing for extra safety. Let's make sure Risi has nothing else to stress about, and ensure his parents' safety. Mickey, thank you all for your support and care during this challenging time. Your presence means the world to me as a mother who has faced the possibility of losing her son. I am incredibly grateful for the wonderful support system my son has, and words cannot express how blessed and thankful I am to have you all in our lives. Thank you from the bottom of my heart," she said with a bow. "Ero? I echo my wife's sentiments. Circeus, please don't blame yourself for your sister's actions. Don't despair, as you still have a crucial role to play as my son's big brother. But, like my wife said, there are no words powerful enough to express just how appreciative and thankful we are for everything you all are doing for our family and our son. So, thank you," he said with a bow. After the heartfelt words from Mickey and Goro, Griffia prepared the teleportation circle to take them, along with Ravel, to the underworld to see their son. Before they were engulfed in the teleportation light, everyone gave them a warm smile and waved them off. Then, they were surrounded by the light from the teleportation circle, and they disappeared. Meeting of the Alliance leaders. After the meeting at the Haydu mansion concluded, Graphia escorted Ravel, Mickey, and Goro Haydu to the Leviathan mansion. Meanwhile, another meeting took place at the same time with members of the Alliance present, including Lady Yasaka, Lord Odin, Lord Michael, Governor Azazel, Ajuka Beelzebub, Falbium Asmodeus, and Serapho Leviathan. The attendees were informed about the recent events, and a memory crystal containing Ravel's memories was shared. Upon watching the crystal, the members of the Alliance who were not previously aware of the situation became furious, particularly Lady Yasaka, who was deeply angered by what she witnessed, along with the other leaders. Currently, Yasaka is visibly furious and stands up with all 9 tails extended. Mysterious blue flames emerge from the tips of her tails, reflecting her anger at the situation she has just become aware of. Isaka. Those harpies, how could they treat that kind-hearted boy in such a way? He has done so much for them. Not to mention, not long ago, he risked his life to save me and protect my daughter. Kuna, this is unacceptable, and those girls must face punishment for their actions. Serapho? I completely understand. After discovering that it was because of those girls that a kind-hearted boy like issei turned into a bloodthirsty monster, unrecognizable and driven by rage, it shocked me. Graphia and I experienced his fury firsthand, and I was somewhat scared both for my life and the fact that issei seemed to lack control of himself. It seemed like he was a different person, but this was the result of his unaddressed trauma and the girls berating him. Thankfully, Ravel was able to bring him back to his senses, as you all witnessed through the crystal. So, please, Yusaku, calm down and take a seat so we can continue with the meeting. Yusaku took a deep breath, sighed, and gradually calmed down. The fires emanating from her tails began to fade, and she relaxed. She took her seat again before speaking. Isaka? You're right. We should be grateful that Ravel helped him regain control and prevented him from doing something he would regret. However, I still expect those girls to face appropriate consequences for their actions. What they did to him was unacceptable. Odd, and I agree with Lady Isaka. These girls must learn the consequences of their actions. Serapho. They most certainly will. Serapho? 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 Seraphol? Precisely. But let's refocus our discussion, shall we? Michael? Agreed. So, how is Issei's condition? Has he regained consciousness yet? Azazel? When I saw him yesterday and from what Dreg told Ravel about his condition, he still hasn't awoken yet. But Dreg did say his physical recovery is progressing well. However, the extent of the mental damage and how it will affect him going forward is unknown. But until then, all we can do is give him our support. Bijuka. It is indeed disheartening to witness the lack of seriousness among many young devils when it comes to the responsibility of having a peerage. It is unfortunate that some devils are merely using their peerage to amass harems or subject members to their twisted fantasies, as my own family member Diodora did. The recent incident involving the hero of the underworld being a victim of neglect within Ria's peerage is even more shocking. Ria's, who is known for treating her servants like family, seemingly neglected to address the potential trauma the young boy may have suffered from his encounter with the fallen angel, which undoubtedly left deep emotional and mental scars. Azazel? I can empathize with your feelings. When Drake informed me that Raynor had managed to leave a portion of her soul inside his issei to continue his torture, I couldn't help but feel like a failed sensei. If it weren't for Ravel intervening at the right moment, our conversation today could have taken a vastly different turn. Michael? Brother, please remember that you are not to blame for what happened. You gave clear instructions to your subordinate, requesting them to simply monitor the situation. However, you had no knowledge or control over the fact that she would go rogue. Therefore, the responsibility should not fall on your shoulders as you were unaware of these events unfolding. Instead of dwelling on what could have occurred, find peace in the fact that things unfolded differently. It is undoubtedly unfortunate that the young boy had to endure torture by the soul of a fallen angel in his own mind, causing severe mental trauma. Additionally, it is regrettable that Irina contributed to his further despair and madness through her actions involving the other girls. Seraphil, it's important for both of you to understand that you had no control over the actions of those individuals who served you. Your influence and vigilance can only extend so far. As Azul, Raynor made her decision to be sadistic and evil, continuing to inflict pain upon a good person even in her final moments and beyond. Michael, you should not bear the blame for Irina's actions. Despite being aware of the Bible's teachings regarding treachery and betrayal, if Irina were truly devoted to the faith of the biblical God, she would not have engaged in such actions, even if her intention was merely to engage in a conversation. She would have remained true and loyal to the man she claimed to have feelings for. Neither of you could have done anything to prevent this situation. Our focus now should be on supporting Issei's mental and physical healing as best as we can, and restoring him to his former self as much as possible. There is no doubt that he will be impacted to some extent by this ordeal. Isaka, while I understand the relevance of this discussion to the current situation, I would rather continue talking about the state of the boy who saved me and my daughter, and I would like to know the consequences for those girls who took part in this cruel and heartless act that lead to him turning into such a mindless, bloodthirsty monster. Because honestly, if not for me seeing the memories of that day firsthand, I would have never believed any of you telling me that such an open and honest boy could become such a monster. With that said, Lord Michael, I request information regarding the punishment for Irina. Despite it not directly involving me, it concerns me deeply. This boy saved and protected my daughter, so the actions of these girls, causing him great distress, deserve consequences. I would like to know their punishment. Michael? I'll explain the details of the punishment. Gabriel has been sent to inform Irina about her consequences. She will also offer condolences to Mr. and Mrs. Haydu regarding their son. Irina's punishment is clear. The Seras will evaluate the memory crystal shown to all of you. Her crimes of treachery go against our values. Furthermore, she prioritized her desires over Issei's well-being, disregarding his feelings. Irina has two options. Firstly, she can relinquish her angelhood and ace card, return to being human, and be excommunicated from the church. In this case, she will be released into her parents' custody and will relocate to England. Alternatively, she can choose to go on trial in the presence of all the seraphs, where they will witness the same memories we have seen. It is likely that she will be convicted for her treachery and betrayal towards her childhood friend, her unbecoming actions as an angel, and her role as a follower of God. She will become a fallen angel and forever be kicked out of the kingdom of heaven and never allowed to set foot back into heaven due to her actions. She will also be excommunicated from the church. I assume that Gabriel has already delivered the message to Irina and left to inform her parents and initiate the punishment process, including preparing for her excommunication from the church. So, her punishment will be severe. I understand that it does not change what has happened or the harm she caused to the boy, but she will not go unpunished for her actions. That is a promise I can make. Isaka, you make a valid point, Michael. While it's true that the punishment won't undo the harm done to the boy, it is important that the girls face consequences for their actions. It sets a precedent, and shows that such behavior is not tolerated. Odin. Absolutely, Yusaka. However, We must also address the other individuals involved in these events concerning the Dragon Boy. I am curious to know how the devils plan to punish Ria's Gremory and her peerage. Additionally, if my memory serves me correctly, the fallen angel you assigned as my bodyguard was Borakiel, who is the father of the devil-fallen hybrid in the Gremory's peerage. During my visit, I happened to stumble upon the Dragon Boy on a date with his daughter. I'm curious to know, Azazel, if you intend to inform him about this situation his daughter caused and have him be part of her punishment as well. I would also like to know the status of my former bodyguard, Ross was, considering she was not part of what happened to him and hoping she would not be punished, along with the rest of the Gremory girls' peerage. Azazel? Odin, I've already informed Borakiel about the situation regarding Akino, his daughter. Although I didn't show him the memory crystal, I decided to let him learn about it during the meeting he's currently attending as the representative of the fallen angels. By now, the meeting should be over, and he should be fully aware of everything. But to be honest, Borakiel is attending the meeting primarily as a concerned father, but he shares the same views as me when it comes to how the fallen angels perceive the situation and our stance on her actions and the actions of the other girls involved. We both believe that what they did to the issei was unacceptable, considering all of his contributions to the Alliance, and everyone he has interacted with and helped. In terms of punishments, personally, I believe that Akino experiencing the disappointment of her father, knowing that he's fully aware of what she did and the knowledge he obtained from the meeting, is the worst pain she could feel. Zarful spoke to Lord Odin, explaining that Rosway should not be punished since she had no involvement in the incident. Me and Sertsix discussed the punishments and consequences for Rias and the girls involved. Ijuka expressed his interest in knowing the decisions made and emphasized the need for Rias to face consequences. Albion also agreed with Ijuka and wanted to understand the punishments for the girls. As the military commander, he needed to assess his capabilities post-incident. Serafo acknowledged their concerns, stating that they would need Ijuka's help with the punishments. She also understood Falbium's need to consider Issei's role in military strategies. At the moment, Serafo believed Issei should not participate in any military actions until they knew the full effects of what happened to him, and whether he could control his sacred gear. Odin? That's good to know. Serafo? Yes, they will all face the consequences for their actions. Azazel? But to make it even worse, the person that held that group together was the same person they all attacked. And if I had to assume right now, the group is on the verge of collapsing. They turned upon the pillar that held them, who was the unifying factor for them. Their actions turned that factor against them. We saw what they did. We were not going to let that slide. He did not deserve that, and Rias, who failed as a king even knowing how he was reincarnated after the fallen angel killed him, should have conducted some sort of psychological investigation into him to make sure he wasn't traumatized from Raynor. But she didn't, and now she must face the consequences of her actions. Everyone agreed with Azazel's statement, even though it was truly awful to get past everything that happened. How could the girls so easily forget all the good he has done for all of them? He was the glue that held their group together, the person who had the magical power to bring others together and fix issues and make everybody stronger just by his presence and will to help. Serafo, along with Michael and Azazel, continued to inform the rest of the leaders about the punishments they had decided on. They explained that the punishments were not just a few, but multiple punishments, each dealt in different ways, shapes, and forms. The remaining leaders approved of the additional punishments they heard the girls would receive. While this was going on, Yusaku was pondering something, thinking back to a particular part she remembered seeing in the memories being shown to her. That's when suddenly it hit her, and she spoke up, gathering everyone's attention. Yusaku, Serafal, would it be possible for you to replay the memory crystal one more time, please? I am particularly interested in seeing the specific moment where you managed to capture his attention, leading to his immediate attack. Furthermore, if you could also skip to the moment when Ravel confronted him and pause it there. I want to highlight the difference in Ache's behavior when faced with Ravel, compared to when you initially caught his attention and pointed it out to everyone here. I believe they missed it, as well as all of you who were there to witness this event firsthand. I would like to point out how, upon Ravel's approach, he remained calm and composed, merely exhibiting a gesture of warning by slamming his balance breaker tail in front of her. This was in stark contrast to his previous reactions, where he blindly rushed to attack anyone who managed to attract his attention during his uncontrollable rampage. Everyone noticed this difference in Issei's actions and were surprised. Even those who witnessed it firsthand didn't realize it then, but seeing it now makes sense why he looked conflicted when they saw how he hesitated upon seeing Ravel. But that's when Yusaku continued to point out how Issei had shown restraint, or was struggling internally. He was conflicted about attacking her, which is why it wasn't an immediate action he took. Instead, she believed it was important for everyone to understand this observation. Yusaku hypothesized that the trauma Issei had experienced resurfaced when the girls took actions that intensified his pain. Yusaku drew a parallel between Issei's behavior and humans that suffer from PTSD, who sometimes develop separate personalities as a coping mechanism to deal with their trauma. Yusaku. As you all saw, there was a difference in how he acted even though he was in a blind monstrous rage at the time. I believe that when Issei saw Ravel, a part of him that had not been broken or consumed by despair, while his mind began to split and fracture, all the while his mind was trying to cope with the resurfacing of his trauma and how the girls made it completely and utterly worse for him. But I believe it's that little part of him that was still able to see and recognize who she was, though I'm unsure by how much, or if it was even him consciously, or if it was just instincts in him telling him not to attack her. Regardless of the fact, I believe that is the reason he didn't instantly try to attack her. It's not that he had anything against you, Seraphil or Graphia, but I believe that she was the last thing he could remember how Ravel was trying to help and comfort him, and show him genuine care towards him, while the other girls did not. It might have been that exact kindness she showed to him, an actual care for his well-being that kept him from doing anything to her or attacking her on sight at first, and actually tried to warn her to stay away. Seraphil. I understand that, Lady Yusaku. In normal circumstances, Issei would never have attacked me or Graphia. However, the explanation does make sense of why he attacked me instantly, and why he didn't attack Ravel instantly. But Azazel, I am interested in knowing what you think of what Yusaku pointed out, and her explanation of Issei's actions. Azazel, who listened intensively and observed what Yusaku said and pointed out, and that's when he saw what she was taking about making him feel like her theory on this matter is possible. Azazel? Lady Yusaku, you have an interesting point. During Issei's berserk rampage, he attacked anyone who caught his attention, except for Ravel. Instead, he tried to signal to her to back away by slamming his tail of the balance breaker on the ground in front of her. It also explains why he had hesitation and looked like he was conflicted. It's unclear if he was subconsciously in control, but I agree with you that a small part of him still had some control. Though it was very little, it was enough to allow him to recognize Ravel and restrain himself to some extent. That's when Ajuka jumped into the conversation as well. Ajuka? When considering the moment when Issei's mind began to fracture, it appears that it had not fully reached the point of separation yet. Yusaku? While I lack the capacity to directly observe or sense the internal and emotional damage within a safe, or the memories shown through the crystal, my intuition strongly supports the theory that his mind was starting to fracture during that time. Throughout my extensive existence, I have often assisted humans who suffer from different mental illnesses or disorders, including individuals with post-traumatic stress disorder (PTSD). Issei's behavior seems to mirror the coping mechanisms observed in those who have experienced severe trauma. It is not uncommon for such individuals to create distinct personalities as a means of managing the overwhelming effects of their experiences. Seraphil. Well, that makes sense. And after you pointed this out to us, Yusaku, it only proves it. But I guess what Drake told Ravel was true, and how she was the only one that could save him from himself. Michael? I will wholeheartedly agree with you on that, Seraphil. But I also saw something within her. It was determination, passion, and unwavering love for him. She had the will and desire to save him from his own darkness and despair. So, after seeing all that, I had faith that if anyone could bring him back to his senses in that moment, it was her. And knowing that even the Welsh dragon saw something in her that made him tell her that, I'm glad I gave her my support to do this. Because of her, we did not have to take drastic actions and have to end the boy's life. Seraphil, I agree, Michael. It's because you had faith, along with everybody else, and even Drake believed in her. That Graphia and I were saved by her intervention at that moment. If she did not intervene, I have no doubt that he would have killed us by breaking our necks. But no need to dwell on that. Luckily that never came to be. But getting back on topic, Lady Asaka, do you believe he developed a split personality in this berserk and rampaging state due to all the trauma as a coping mechanism? Would you have any more insight into this? It seems like you are knowledgeable about this topic. Shed more light on this, Asaka. I cannot say for certain without personally examining the boy and employing my powers to assess the extent of the mental trauma he has endured. However, it is highly plausible. The more pressing concern lies in the fact that this is typically a condition observed in humans. I am unsure of how this would affect a human-turned-devil with a dragon-type sacred gear, particularly a Longinus class such as the boosted gear. There are so many unknown variables with that situation alone, not to mention we should be lucky that what the girls did didn't trigger him to get Dragon's Fall. Though it is unlikely for a user of a dragon-type sacred gear to get Dragon's Fall, it is not impossible. And due to what happened, it would be highly possible it could happen. Moreover, issei possesses one of the two gears that directly influence their user's emotions. It is difficult to predict the potential outcomes, ranging from worst-case scenarios to more favorable outcomes. However, Azazel has spent countless years researching sacred gears. Perhaps he may offer some insight into this particular scenario. Azazel, analyzing all the information he was learning and taking in everything that was being said before he spoke. Azazel leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. Unfortunately, I have no information on this unique situation. I've never actually been able, or even thought of studying the effects of a sacred gear user who suffers from such a condition like PTSD. But Yusaku is right about how the sacred gear responds to the emotions of its user, and being that Issei's gear is the boosted gear, things are a little bit different and challenging. Not to mention, she has a point. This is something new, and I believe we should look into it, especially for the devils, since the devils have a lot of reincarnated humans turned devils that could suffer from this as well. I would like to know if any humans turned devils have suffered from PTSD before being reincarnated, and if they could still experience it like I say it did if their trauma resurfaces. If not, we should start looking into that through the reincarnated former humans who are now devils. This does add a new layer of complexity, considering I never even once thought about Issei's gear being a dragon type. It could also cause him to get Dragon's Fall due to the girl's actions, though the chances are low. But I would have to say in this scenario and at that exact moment, there was a very high possibility he could have gotten it. However, I believe the only reason he didn't suffer from that is because he was engulfed with rage, anger, and despair, thanks to Ravel, who was the only woman that did not betray him on that day. But it's hard to say what the true effects are on his mental stability with all these unknown variables. Not to mention the boosted gear's curse, which holds the resentment and angry souls of the former users. This curse can influence a user's emotions and has even caused the death of divine dividing and boosted gear users through the Juggernaut drive. The gear itself may magnify the splitting of Issei's personality, not to mention the curse that leads users to succumb to the Juggernaut drive if they're not strong enough to resist. This is a completely new territory, and I think we should prepare for the worst-case scenario and support Issei in any way we can. Once he wakes up and is ready to be around others, it would be beneficial to have Lady Asaka perform her sage arts on him to evaluate his current mental state and the extent of the damage to himself, as well as the volatility of the situation that could pose a threat to others around him. Yasaka. Absolutely. I am more than willing to utilize sage arts on the young boy to thoroughly assess his mental, physical, and spiritual condition. Given that he saved both me and my daughter, I feel a strong obligation to fulfill this duty. Moreover, I am prepared to extend my assistance beyond mere evaluation, as I hold a deep gratitude towards him. Thus, supporting him in any way possible would not pose any issues for me. Odin, I am relieved to hear that you are inclined to aid him, Lady Yusaku. The most troubling aspect, however, is the lack of a clear understanding regarding the severity and volatility of the situation. As Azazel suggested, it would be prudent for us to consider the worst-case scenario, wherein the boy's condition could pose significant risks to both himself and those around him. Ajuka, I definitely understand what you mean, Azazel, and how we need to start looking into the humans reincarnated into devils. We should explore if they could suffer from PTSD and if the severity of their PTSD before reincarnation into a devil affects the likelihood of them experiencing it again or triggers that could cause it to resurface. This is especially important since a majority of the devils now are reincarnated former humans. It demands attention and effort to look into, and I would definitely start the process to do so. But getting back onto the topic of Isaiah's situation and considering the current circumstances, we must also take into account the potential impacts of the evil pieces on him. There is a possibility that they could worsen the situation, leading to corruption or extensive mutations. With numerous unknown variables and issei wielding the boosted gear alongside his shattered and unstable mental state, it would be wise to isolate him from others and closely monitor his condition in a secure location. Although this course of action may sound harsh, it ultimately presents the most effective and safe solution for all those around him. Seraphol spoke up in a very no-nonsense and serious tone towards her fellow mouse suggestions regarding how to deal with issei. Seraphol expressed her strong disagreement with Ajuka's suggestion, emphasizing her belief that issei has already endured enough suffering and shouldn't be made to feel like a danger to others. She argued that isolating him would deprive him of a support system and that Ravel, who has been inseparable from him lately, would not willingly allow such a separation. Seraphol also revealed that Ravel's devotion to helping issei has been so intense that she has needed to bring her food, as she refuses to leave his side. Seraphol firmly asserted that treating the boy as an abnormality, or a monster that needs to be confined is not an option. Michael? I agree with Seraphol. I think that isolating the boy would only worsen the situation. He suggests that what the boy truly needs is to be surrounded by supportive individuals who can help him, particularly the woman who has already shown the ability to bring him back to his senses. Michael believes that as long as this young lady remains by his side, the situation will not be as dire as Ajuka and not in fear. However, I acknowledges the importance of taking precautions and involving Isaka, Azazel, and the use of sage arts if necessary, including attaching a collar to neutralize the boy's sacred gear in a worst-case scenario. Azazel? I agree with Michael and Seraphol regarding not isolating Issei and potentially exacerbating his situation. Isolation could prove to be even more dangerous than we can fathom, particularly if we separate him from Ravel, the person who has played a crucial role in bringing him back to his senses. Additionally, I find Ajuka and Aiden's concerns about the possibility of Issei entering that berserker state again to be valid and alarming. That is why I propose that we intensify our research efforts and thoroughly examine individuals with PTSD, which includes helping Ajuka offer support to the reincarnated former humans turned devils and seeing if they suffered any trauma before their reincarnation. We should assess the likelihood of that trauma resurfacing and offer proper ways to help them in order to prevent further instances like this. I am specifically interested in investigating cases where individuals have developed a separate personality as a coping mechanism for their trauma. It is imperative that we categorize and thoroughly investigate each moment that might have contributed to his trauma, from his experiences with Rainer, to his initial activation of the Juggernaut drive, all the way to the events involving the girls and beyond. Scrutinizing these details is crucial in understanding every potential factor that could have impacted him, regardless of its magnitude. Before causing unnecessary panic among those currently supporting him, we must have a comprehensive understanding of the condition he is suffering from and how to effectively address it. I highly doubt his family, or even Ravel, as well as those of us who genuinely want to help him, will abandon him in such a manner. However, until we have a deeper understanding of this condition, I believe it would be ill-advised to even hint at such a scenario. Isaka, I agree with the governor's suggestion of conducting thorough research on Issei's condition, including exploring different forms of PTSD in cases where individuals have developed distinct personalities as coping mechanisms. However, it is important to exercise caution and refrain from sharing information with and his current support system until we have a better understanding of how to assess and handle the situation effectively. Seraphol, I agree that it is important to inform the other leaders and individuals who need to be aware of the situation regarding it. Is crucial for them to be informed about our discussions and hypotheses regarding his condition, particularly because of the potential dangers involved. However, I believe it would be prudent to delay informing anyone else until we have gathered more information about his condition and its potential impact on him. As Azazel mentioned, we must ensure that we are aware of any factors that may worsen his trauma or have had a significant influence on it. This way, we can be prepared and have a clear understanding of how to approach and address his situation moving forward. Michael? I am in complete agreement with everything that has been discussed. I feel a strong sense of responsibility and duty to do everything in my power to assist the young boy who has suffered due to the actions of my ace, Irina. It is our collective responsibility to support him, considering the good he has already done and the potential for further growth and impact once he overcomes this challenging situation. I fully support the course of action we have decided upon and will dedicate my resources, assets, and manpower to aiding him. Odin, my faction and I stand fully behind helping the Dragon Boy through this difficult time. It is only right that Rosweiss is removed from Ria's peerage and placed in the same peerage as the Dragon Boy, to aid his recovery and provide the necessary support. However, we must not delay in thoroughly investigating every aspect of the situation. We cannot afford a repeat or potentially worse consequences than what we have already witnessed. This must be a top priority, and we should allocate ample resources and manpower to it. Balbium. I'm not personally acquainted with issei, but I am aware of his significant contributions to the underworld and the Alliance. As the Mu in charge of our military, this information is important for me to fulfill my duty. Now that I have obtained the information I needed regarding his status, I can confidently state that he will not be involved in any missions, combat, or fights. The well-being of our soldiers is my top priority as the commander of our military forces. I value their mental and physical health above all else at this time. It is more beneficial for issei to fully recover rather than risking further harm. Hence, I am fully supportive of the steps we will take moving forward, such as informing other leaders and relevant individuals about issei's condition. As we gain a more detailed understanding of issei's situation, we will provide additional updates. I am prepared to assist in any way possible. Ajuka, after hearing your reasons for why you believe separating him from Ravel would be a horrible idea, not to mention make things worse, and how my idea was rather harsh, I understand your point of view. I also agree that we should hold off from telling anyone to avoid causing panic. It's better for us to deal with it and prevent our enemies from finding out. I definitely think we should keep this information from the Devil Council, as I don't trust that they wouldn't take advantage of the situation. I appreciate that you've already thought about this and suggested that Issei and Ross was trade from Ria's to Lady Phoenix's peerage. I'm willing to help with that trade and also gather as much information as possible about PTSD and its effects on humans. I'll help Azazel research how Issei's PTSD might impact his mental state and how that could potentially affect his sacred gear, as well as look into how his evil pieces could be affected by his current situation and whether the effects are good or bad, and how we can help him in the long term with his trauma. Isaka expresses her unwavering support for Issei, highlighting how he has been a hero to her and her daughter in the past. Grateful for his protection, she is eager to aid him in his recovery by utilizing her saga arts and assisting him with her powers. Her intention is to ensure that the hero her daughter looks up to can regain his strength and stand tall once more. Azazel, I want to make it clear that I am fully committed to assisting and devoting significant resources, time, and manpower to this cause. I am grateful that Ajuka is willing to collaborate with me on researching various types of human PTSD, including the diverse symptoms and manifestations it can exhibit. Together, we can investigate how this condition may impact sacred gear users and their gears. This research can help us determine how it's affecting issei. I am also eager to explore the potential effects of the evil pieces on issei and work towards resolving any negative consequences due to the events that are going on with him mentally. We should also consider how this could affect the evil pieces. Seraphal. It appears that we are all in agreement on the need to provide comprehensive support and assistance in addressing this issue. Our commitment to Isaiah and his contributions to our collective cause is evident through the unity of our alliance. Once our leaders are informed of the steps we have discussed, they will undoubtedly be pleased to witness the support and efforts of everyone involved. With that being said, I believe it is time to cease prolonging this meeting and begin delving into the matter at hand. There is no time to waste. Isaka. It would be beneficial if my daughter could join me to visit Issei. It's important for him to know that he has the support and care of others during his recovery. It would also bring happiness to my daughter and uplift Issei's spirits. I personally believe her presence would have a positive impact on the situation. Serafal? That's not an issue for me. It should work out fine. I believe he would enjoy seeing little Kunu again. But if there's nothing else, then we can consider this meeting over. Following the conclusion of the meeting, all of the leaders rise from their seats, ready to address and assist Issei's current situation. Their commitment is unwavering as they strive to provide the utmost support for him. Each leader activates teleportation circles beneath their feet and disappears to their respective factions. They commence their research, gather manpower, and allocate resources to aid Issei's recovery. Assessing the extent of damage he has endured and devising measures to prevent further harm becomes their priorities. Their determination is unyielding, and they will spare no effort in preventing Issei from losing control again and causing harm to others. Dragon to dragon, Ravel and Grafia accompanied Issei's parents, Mickey and Gora Heidu, as they navigated their way through the vast Leviathan mansion. The purpose of their journey was to reach the room where their son was being kept. Mickey, filled with curiosity, couldn't help but wonder about Issei's accomplishments. Taking advantage of the moment, Grafia mentioned Issei's valiant defense of the underworld against the rogue god Loki. With the aid of Thor's hammer, Issei emerged victorious, leaving Mickey in awe as she comprehended the pivotal role her son played in safeguarding others. Expanding upon the conversation, Ravel proudly shared how Issei had triumphed over her own brother, Riser, in order to rescue Rias from an unwanted arranged marriage. This heroic act not only garnered him the support and admiration of the reincarnated devils, but also earned him the respect of lower and middle-class devils. Ravel firmly believed that Issei served as a beacon of hope, inspiring others to strive for success and realize their aspirations. Mickey felt a mix of pride and sadness as she realized that her son consistently placed himself in perilous situations to assist others. Gorev shared similar emotions, acknowledging Issei's bravery and unwavering commitment to standing up for what he believed was just, even if it meant jeopardizing his own life to help those who may not have deserved it. As they neared Issei's room, their admiration and concerns as parents only grew stronger. Scene change: Citri Hospital in the underworld. She began to regain consciousness slowly in an unfamiliar location. Confusion and disorientation washed over her as she glanced around and noticed Griselda, her mother, engrossed in a book. Their eyes met, and Griselda let out a sigh before speaking. Griselda Quarta is a stunning woman wearing a white outfit with gold trim and designs. She is also wearing a beautiful golden cross around her neck. Griselda has beautiful blue eyes, silky white hair, and a very well-endowed and amazing figure. Griselda. It seems that you're finally awakening, my daughter. It's a relief to see that the Phoenix tears have healed your physical wounds from the beating Issei Haida gave you. Fear gripped Zenobia as she quickly surveyed the room, anxious about the well-being of her friends and the whereabouts of Issei. Griselda raised her hand, signaling for her to calm down. Zenobia. What happened to Asia? Did Issei harm anyone else from Ria's peerage? And how is Issei? Was he stopped before causing any more harm? Griselda. Take a deep breath. Everyone is safe, including Issei, who was brought back to his senses with Ravel's assistance. However, he subsequently lost consciousness. You were gravely injured, on the verge of death, along with 2 others who narrowly escaped a similar fate. My dear daughter, I want to understand why you joined in berating and humiliating the very man whom you once held feelings for and admired for his compassion. You spoke highly of him and his willingness to go above and beyond for those he cares about. It seems as though you disregarded Issei's emotional well-being and focused primarily on your own. By neglecting to address Issei's trauma, all of you, including both the girls and boys, contributed to the unfortunate events that unfolded. In this regard, you all fell short. That being said, I am curious to understand, my dear Zenobia, why you, along with everyone else, turned against the person whom you all held in high regard and cared for deeply. Zenovia's heart sank as she absorbed the weight of the situation, her mind overwhelmed with a mix of thoughts and emotions. She reflected on the unfolding events and the profound repercussions they would undoubtedly bring. Leaning forward, she spoke in a soft, contemplative tone. Zenobia. So, I assume you are already aware of what has transpired. Griselda's gaze turned stern, disappointment evident in her voice as she responded. Griselda. Oh, my dear child, I am not merely aware of it, I have personally witnessed the memories, just like everyone else. I must confess, I find it truly disheartening. I never expected my own daughter to partake in such disrespectful behavior, particularly towards someone she claims to hold affection for. It is ironic how you accuse others of denseness while remaining blind to your own actions. Zenobia was taken aback, struggling to find her words. Zenobia? How did you find out about this? Griselda's expression turned grave as she disclosed a troubling revelation. Griselda? I saw the memory crystals containing Ravel Phoenix's recollections of the incident. Only a select few, myself included, were granted access to them prior to the meeting. During the gathering, Lady Gabriel addressed Irina Shida's misconduct and the ensuing consequences she will face. The heavens are not happy with an angel mistreating a hero. However, there is more unsettling news that I need to discuss with you, my daughter. Zenobia, a mixture of hope and concern welling up inside her, sought further clarification. Zenovia's face contorted with a mix of shock and anxiety. Zenobia? What is it? Griselda's tone grew somber as she began to speak. Griselda, you must understand that Issei's parents, Mickey and Goru, have made their position unequivocally clear. They adamantly refuse to allow you, and the others involved, to remain a part of their son's life. They harbor no forgiveness in their hearts for the pain you have caused him. Furthermore, Ravel Phoenix will not tolerate your presence, or that of anyone else who contributed to his Sei's suffering. Consequently, you will be relocated to a Gremory-owned apartment complex situated on the opposite side of Cow. Devastation washed over Zenobia as she absorbed this news. She realized that her mistake would now keep her separated from the man she truly loved. Tears began to well up in her eyes, but before she could react, Griselda interjected. Griselda, there is one more thing I must disclose, and I'm afraid it will shatter you even further. Without hesitation, Griselda rose from her seat and opened a dimensional portal. She retrieved Durandal, forcefully slamming the blade onto the ground. Zenobia? How could this happen? Griselda's voice carried a firm tone as she continued. Griselda, it is clear why Durandal has chosen me as its new wielder, forsaking you in the process. The sword has made a decision based on the qualities and abilities it seeks in its wielder. It has deemed you unworthy, citing your questionable character and how you mistreated his Sei, disregarding his feelings and the trauma he endured. Your actions have undeniably proven that you are not suitable to wield the sword. Zenobia was taken aback, coming to terms with the reality that the sword had deemed her inadequate and had left her due to her own actions. Zenobia, I never intended for things to escalate to this extent. I apologize. Griselda's response was unwavering. Griselda, your intentions do not change the fact that you, along with your group and even your former partner, Irina, acted against someone who consistently showed you kindness and assisted you in various situations. Ignorance of the consequences or potential outcomes does not excuse your actions. The damage has been done, and you cannot alter the current situation or undo the pain that has been inflicted and potential consequences that await you and your group. Zenobia. Consequences. What do you mean, Mother? Griselda placed Durandal back into its pocket dimension, planted a kiss on her daughter's forehead, and proceeded towards the hospital room door before leaving. Just as she opened it, she delivered one final message to her daughter. Griselda, my daughter, I do not harbor any hatred towards you, and my love for you remains unchanged. However, I am deeply disappointed in your treatment of the man who has done so much for your group. As for the consequences, it is not my place to inform you of what they might be. I only hope you find the strength to endure this challenging time and learn from your mistakes. With that, Griselda exited through the door and closed it behind her, leaving Zenobia slumped over in her bed, overcome with tears. She realized the far-reaching repercussions of her actions and acknowledged that they may be the gravest mistake she has ever made. Scene change. Ku Town Park. Irina sat beneath the shade of a towering tree, her back pressed against its sturdy trunk. With her legs drawn close to her chest, tears cascaded down her cheeks, reflecting her deep anguish. Lying beside her was a weighty rock, bearing the intertwining engravings of her initials and essays, encircled by a heart. Regret consumed her, and the weight of her mistakes became painfully clear. Suddenly, a comforting presence settled beside her, accompanied by a voice she recognized all too well. Aji Shide? Well, looks like you've really messed things up this time, sweetheart. Ouchie sure do, a tall man with spiky chestnut hair and a very well-built body, wearing blue jeans and a rolled-up long sleeve, with brown eyes. Startled, Irina looked up and found her father's presence, his expression a blend of sternness and concern, taking her by surprise. Confusion clouded her tear-streaked face as she questioned his unexpected appearance. Irina? Dad, sniff, what brings you here? Ouchie, first and foremost, I'm here to comfort my daughter who is crying her heart out. His words resonated deeply within Irina, breaking down the barriers she had erected to hold in her emotions. Overwhelmed by emotion, she threw her arms around her father, seeking solace in his embrace as she released the weight of her mistakes through her tears. Irina? Dad, I've messed up so terribly. Ouchie. I am aware, and it's all right. You will find a way to overcome this. Desperation etched itself into Irina's voice as she implored her father, yearning for a chance to make amends. She longed to elucidate her intentions and extend her apologies to his say. Ouchie interrupted her, a stern expression on his face as he explained the harsh reality. Ouchie. Listen to me. Recall when you accidentally broke your mother's cherished vase. Despite your apology, she remained upset, and you faced appropriate consequences. The current situation is distinct, yet the circumstances bear similarities. A mere apology will not suffice. I have been apprised of the remarks made by both Essei's parents and others concerning your actions. They have made it abundantly clear that they will never grant you forgiveness for the harm you caused their son. Even if Issei were to forgive you, I doubt that you would have any chance of restoring your relationship with him. Furthermore, it appears that this Phoenix girl is determined to keep you away from him. Additionally, you will be returning to England and residing with our family for the foreseeable future. You will also be accompanied to the meeting with the Seraphims to determine the repercussions of your actions. Irina broke further, realizing the harsh reality that her circumstances were unchangeable. The weight of the situation was overwhelming, and all she could do was continue to cry, knowing that things would never be the same again. Irina. Sniff, so how's Mom taking the news? Ogi's expression softened as he looked at his daughter, understanding the pain she was going through. Irina's tears continued to flow freely as she awaited her father's response. Ogi, your mother is understandably disappointed. She had great expectations for you and to say. However, she also recognizes the seriousness of the situation. She understands that certain mistakes cannot be undone with a simple apology. She wants what is best for you, even if it means accepting the consequences of your actions. Irina nodded, her tears continuing to flow. The weight of the irreversible damage she had caused settled deeper within her. Irina, but what about to say? Do you think he will ever forgive me? Ogi let out a heavy sigh, his gaze fixed upon the distant horizon. Ogi? Irina, it's hard to say. Your actions have profoundly shaken his trust in you. Even if he were to forgive you, I doubt that things could ever return to how they once were between the two of you. Furthermore, his parents have made their position clear. They are determined to protect their son, and they perceive you as a threat to him. The chances of repairing your relationship with Issei are slim, my dear. The weight of his words descended heavily upon Irina, intensifying the ache in her heart. Irina? So, not only am I losing Issei, but I'm also being compelled to leave Japan. Aji nodded, his voice a blend of empathy and determination. Aji? Yes, Irina. It is for your own well-being and the process of healing. The Seraphims have requested a meeting to discuss the repercussions of your actions, and you will be accompanied there. We will be relocating to England for the foreseeable future, and you will reside with us. It is crucial to take accountability for your actions and derive lessons from this experience. Irina's breath caught in her throat as the reality of her circumstances fully sank in. The enormity of her errors and the ensuing consequences appeared insurmountable. Irina, I understand, Dad. I will face the consequences and grow from this. It's just it hurts tremendously to lose issei and everything we once shared. Ogi enveloped his daughter in a comforting embrace, offering solace and support. Ogi, I understand, my dear. It is indeed agonizing, but sometimes the consequences of our actions surpass our expectations and control. What matters now is that we acknowledge our mistakes, learn from them, and take strides towards rectifying the situation. We are united as a family, Irina. You are not alone. With her father's presence, Irina felt a flicker of hope amidst the overpowering despair. She recognized the arduous path that lay ahead, but her determination to confront it head-on surged within her. She longed for redemption and the opportunity to rebuild the fractured trust. Irina was on the verge of speaking, but her father gently interjected. Ouchie, please understand that my pompous demeanor should not be misconstrued as a lack of disappointment or shame. I am well aware that I have raised you to be better than this. That's precisely why I feel compelled to express my thoughts now and conclude this matter. I assume Lady Gabriel has already informed you about your punishment. However, there are additional consequences that you must consider. Regardless of the choice you make, whether you allow yourself to succumb and become a fallen angel, resulting in your excommunication from the Church, or if you willingly relinquish your angelhood and your position as Lord Michaelis, either way, you will still face excommunication from the Church. Your mother and I are powerless to prevent it. Besides this, there is nothing else I wish to add that has not already been conveyed, or will be conveyed by your mother. My role in this situation is to provide solace and unwavering support during these challenging times. That's what fathers are meant to do, but most importantly, I have always emphasized that during difficult times, when your heart feels shattered, a comforting scoop of good old-fashioned ice cream can provide solace. Let's revisit the ice cream shop from your childhood, the one where I used to take you whenever you were upset or facing troubles. Irina wasn't taken aback by the fact that this was yet another consequence of her actions. She had deviated from the path laid out by God and had succumbed to her own selfish emotions and desires. She had betrayed her best friend and the man she loved, a grave sin indeed. Understanding the reasons behind her impending excommunication, her heart ached. In a way, she knew that this could be one of the penalties she would face, and thus, she appreciated her father's intention. Despite her tear-stained face, she managed to summon a faint smile and responded, "All right, Dad, I believe a scoop of ice cream would be just what I need right now." With that, both Irina and Tuji brushed off the dust from the ground and started walking towards the ice cream shop. Taogi held his daughter close, trying to lift her spirits and provide whatever comfort he could in that moment. Scene change is a mindscape, Essie. Am I dreaming? Greg. It's good to see that my partner hasn't lost his sense of humor. Essie. Drake? Issei got up and hugged Drake, feeling relieved to see him again. Drake allowed it for a moment before pushing him off, and saying, "Drake? All right, I'm a heavenly dragon, not a stuffed animal. We need to talk about what happened because what you experienced wasn't a dream. You just came out of a depth of your mind that I wasn't able to access or even communicate with you." I see. So, everything that happened was real? Greg. Yes, everything that you can recall happened. I see. No. I almost killed so many people. Asia, Zenobia, Seraphil, Griefia, and oh no, Ravel, is she alright? How am I ever going to face her again? Greg let out a loud roar to get his attention. Greg, I say, enough, calm down. Everything's going to be alright. They all realize that you were not in your right state of mind and that your dragon instincts took over. They understand what happened. Seraphil and Graphia are both fine. As for the other two girls, I personally think death would have been suitable for them, but I can understand why you wouldn't want that on your conscience, especially if you weren't in the right state of mind. And as for Ravel, you're going to face her like the dragon you are, not act like a scared coward. She went above and beyond to not only provide you with comfort, but also to bring you back from your despair. You're going to face that woman who openly admitted she loved you like a dragon. She's not upset with you, she was happy to have you back. If you look back in your memories before you completely passed out, You could see the relief and happiness in her eyes. So, calm down, partner. Issei took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the situation settle upon him. He couldn't believe what he had heard. Issei. So, you're telling me that Ravel actually confessed that she loves me? Greg. Partner, you don't need me to remind you of what happened. You have the memories, and you know exactly what she said. Don't deny the feelings that little phoenix ignited within you. I understand that it's overwhelming, but you can't ignore the fact that she stood by your side when everyone else was against you. She was there during your darkest moments, pulling you out of despair and allowing me to finally communicate with you. You need to confront your emotions because what she did went far beyond mere infatuation. She displayed genuine love for you, and she deserves the same in return. I'm connected to your soul and can sense your emotions and feelings at all times. There are moments when I wish I couldn't, especially when it comes to your perverted thoughts and feelings. But once your heart truly starts caring for her and realizing all the love she has shown you, you should reciprocate it. You can deal with your feelings later, but for now, let's focus on the matter at hand. Issei nodded, acknowledging the truth in Drake's words. Issei? Yes, you're right. I can sort out my feelings later, but what's wrong now? Greg's attention shifted to a large black mist wall in Issei's mindscape, blocking part of the area. Issei. What is that thing? Greg. I'm not sure, but I advise you not to touch it. It seems to be related to what happened to you on that particular day. The incident caused your soul to fragment. Issei, what do you mean by my soul fragmented? Does that mean my life force has decreased even more, or is it something worse? Greg. I don't know. All I can say is that the fracture involved your negative emotions, rage, anger, and dragon instincts. It's all mixed up in that miasma barrier. I've never seen anything like this before. It's abnormal even for you? Issei. So you have no idea what's going on. Wait, my negative emotions, anger, and dragon instincts separated from me? I'm so confused, Dreg. Dreg chuckled. Well, partner, don't feel bad, because I'm confused too. I don't know what's happening. But what I do know is that the miasma seems to be a corrupted form of your aura from when you awakened as a true dragon. Issei, wait. So not only did I lose control and let my instincts take over, but you're saying that in that whole traumatic incident with Rainer, my dragon aura awakened. Issei glanced around frantically, realizing he had spoken about Rainer. Dreg let out another roar to snap him out of his hysteria. Dreg, listen, partner, what happened to you was traumatic, and your ability to make the impossible possible seems to have affected all aspects of yourself, including your soul. As for that fallen angel, I've given her a final execution. She will never bother you again. There are no traces of her soul within you. What's behind that barrier is you, but corrupted. It gives me the sense of an evil dragon lurking within there. Issei let out a sigh of confusion before scratching his head. Issei. So, if I understand correctly, Dreg, you're saying that I woke in my dragon aura, which was corrupted by the girl's actions and got fragmented from my soul, accumulating behind the black mist wall. But do we know what my dragon aura actually is, Greg? Unfortunately, I don't know. However, considering that your aura is not supposed to be what it currently is, I believe it has been corrupted by your state of mind and negative emotions at that time, along with your dragon instincts. Issei. How is that even possible, Greg? Issei, remember when I told you that there is something all supernatural beings fear, regardless of their strength? It's a dragon in an enraged and rampaging state. Even the weakest class of dragon in such a state can instill fear in even the most powerful beings. So, for you to be in a similar state, with your dragon instincts taking over due to the trauma and everything that happened, it's possible that your negative emotions and anger towards your former group and your own trauma led to a 1 in a billion chance of your dragon instincts gaining ascension personality and fragmenting itself behind the forming black mist. This is just my theory, though, as there is no direct way of knowing for sure when it comes to you. Issei. This all seems like a hassle, Dreg. Greg. And there's more, partner. Issei. What else could be wrong with me? Greg. Don't be so down, partner. As you awaken your dragon side, you're becoming more like a dragon, which will lead to you losing more of your human and devil side until eventually it's completely overtaken by your dragon side. But that's not why I brought it up. There's also that yellow-orange flame floating behind you. It's not hostile, but I have no idea what it is. Issei. Where did it come from? Greg. Well, remember how the flaming phoenix burned away the darkness around you? Instead of dissipating, it condensed into that floating ball of flame. I can't explain it. I say, great, now we have a fireball as a roommate. By the way, what happened to the darkness inside me, Greg? I tried to use my purgatory flames to burn it away, but it scurried back to where the miasma wall is. As for that fire, it gives me a strange feeling, like something is watching me through it. It feels primal, like the presence of Great Red or Office. It's not as overwhelming or intimidating as a dragon, but it's hard to say for sure. I've never felt anything like it. Sometimes, when I'm not paying attention, it feels like it's giving me an evil look. They say, if it's causing you, the heavenly Welsh dragon, to become paranoid, then perhaps we should be worried about it. Greg. I understand your concern, but for now, I don't think it should be our main focus. It doesn't seem to be causing any immediate issues. I believe we should prioritize dealing with the fragmented personalities hiding behind the wall of miasma. I say. That's fair. But hold on a second, my dragon aura got corrupted. Does that mean I will never be able to use it again? Or is there a way to undo the corruption and restore it back to what it was meant to be? Greg. These are questions that I don't have the answers to, partner. Unfortunately, we may have to wait and see how things unfold. However, at the moment, corruption hasn't taken control over your personality or your current persona. What concerns me is the possibility that it might subtly influence you, causing you to lose control or become a battle maniac during intense fights, potentially harming others or even your own comrades. I say. So, this is a serious matter? Greg. Yes, it is. Considering your inherently heroic nature and potential for good, it's not far-fetched to think that there might be an opposing force within you. Because just as a bright light casts an even darker shadow, I fear that the shadow currently casted might be something we should be worried about. If your capacity for good is as strong as it is, imagine the potential for darkness if you were to suddenly switch and become the embodiment of evil and become that monster once again. Issei's expression turned terrified and horrified upon realizing the gravity of Greg's words. Issei. Greg, I'm getting really worried about this situation. We need to find a way to reunite my soul fragments before they manifest into something dangerous. As my partner, I was hoping you could help me out. Greg, I understand your concern, issei. Believe me, I've tried my best to locate and connect with your scattered soul fragments. However, it seems like there is a deliberate attempt to hide from me or prevent any interaction. This raises a lot of questions about the entity's intentions and its growing consciousness. Issei took a deep breath and pondered the situation. He rested his chin on his fist, his eyes fixed on Drag. Issei. So, the best course of action for now is to monitor the situation closely and enlist the help of others when needed. I guess we have to be patient and cautious as we deal with this mysterious force forming within me. Greg nods in agreement. Greg. Precisely, Issei. It's crucial for us to be vigilant and gather any information we can. As the situation progresses, we'll reassess our options and seek assistance from trusted allies. Together, we'll face this challenge head-on and safeguard your soul from any further harm. Issei took a moment to contemplate Drake's words, instilling a sense of determination within himself. Issei. Well, Drake, it seems like there's nothing we can do other than wait and see what happens, but I have a question for you, and I need you not to freak out before I tell you this. Drake was curious and had a concerned look on his face. He raised an eyebrow and gave Issei the signal to continue. Issei. I think I no longer want to be the harem king and would prefer to be in a monogamous relationship with one person. After what the girls did to me, ignoring my trauma, berating me, and making me feel replaceable, I realized that maybe having a harem isn't for me. I've learned something from this experience. Just because you're with women who claim they love you doesn't necessarily mean they truly do. However, what Ravel did for me, bringing me out of my own despair and saving me from actions I would have regretted, showed me what it means to truly love somebody and be with them through the good and the bad. To stand by them no matter what and do whatever it takes to save the one you love. Upon hearing this, Drake fainted, never expecting to hear such a revelation from one of his most perverted hosts. Issei called out for Drake to wake up, not realizing that this shocking news would cause him to faint. Issei, Drake, wake up, come on, you're a heavenly dragon. You shouldn't be fainting just because of that news. Come on, wake up. Scene change. Back to Grafia, Ravel, Mickey, and Gorohede. The group is standing outside a room, discussing the recent events involving their son, issei. Mickey? It's hard to believe that my baby boy was able to accomplish all of that. On one hand, I want to scold him for risking his life, but on the other, I can't help but feel proud of all the good he has done. Goru? I am amazed that our son managed to defeat a god as a father. I couldn't be prouder of his achievement. Slap, Mickey. Gorohede, don't forget that our son almost died in that fight. If it weren't for Ravel's help, we might have lost him. Goru? Ouch, that hurt. You're right, Mickey. Ravel, it seems you have been instrumental in assisting our son in ways we never could have imagined. Who would have thought that the phoenix tear you gave him would save his life? Thank you again, but at what point does it become repetitive? Ravel, there is no need for that. You don't have to keep saying thank you to me. As I've said, I truly love your son and want to support him no matter what. Thus then, Grafia stopped outside a room and turned to face the group. Grafia? This is your son's room. I would accompany you to check on him, but I have responsibilities to attend to back at the Gremry mansion. I bid you farewell. Mickey? Thank you very much for everything you've done and for your kind words about our son. Boru? Yes, thank you. I'm grateful that our son has someone like you, Ravel, to guide him. Don't be afraid to give him a good slap on the head if he gets out of line. You have our permission for that. Upon hearing those words, Grafia's stoic demeanor softened and a smile graced her face. Grafia? I appreciate that, and there's no need for thanks. If you'll excuse me, I must be on my way. She bowed to them and began walking back the way they came, but before she disappeared around a corner, she stopped by Ravel and whispered something that only her devil hearing could catch. Rafia, I will leave you alone so that you can bond with your in-laws. It seems they have grown fond of you as their son's partner. You've got this, Ravel. Take good care of him. Ravel nodded and smiled at Grafia, understanding the weight of her words. With that, Grafia walked away until she was out of sight, leaving the rest of the group to enter the room where issei rested and recovered. Ravel, still caught between nervousness and anticipation, took a moment to collect her thoughts. Inhaling deeply, she let out a slow breath, feeling her tension ease slightly. She glanced at Mickey and Gorohede, mustering the courage to proceed. With a determined nod, she opened the door to the room where their son, issei, was being monitored. Inside the room, Ross was, the person in charge of watching over issei, was engaged in a quiet conversation with him. With no one else present, she spoke softly, aware that issei was still in a deep slumber. She was hoping her gentle words could still be heard by him even in his slumbering state. As the door creaked open, Rosweiss quickly noticed the intrusion. Rising from her seat, she realized it was issei's parents, Mickey, Gorohede, and Ravel, who had entered the room. Rosweiss saw the overwhelming emotions building up in both Mickey and Gorohede's faces, steps back, and soon as she did, they ran up to see their son. Mickey and Goru were on the same bedside with each other, holding their son's hand while tears welled up in Mickey's eyes. Ravel walked up to Rosweiss and spoke to her. Ravel, hey Rosweiss, has anything changed on his status yet? Rosweiss? Unfortunately, no. Ravel, his status hasn't changed much. So I take it they know everything. Ravel was upset upon hearing that he has not woken up from his self-induced coma yet, but she nods at Rosweiss, confirming her question. Rosweiss? Ah, I see. So I guess the punishments are already being implemented. Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to go get something to eat, if that's all right with you and you can handle watching him for the time being. Bravo. Of course, please go get something to eat and get some rest. I think his parents would like some time alone with him. Rosweiss? Of course. Before she walked out of the room, Mickey spoke up, tears in her eyes. Mickey? Rose was, thank you very much for being kind to my son and taking care of him. Gora, we've said this to everyone else, and we'll say it to you. We're deeply thankful for you helping with our son and monitoring his condition. Thank you? Both Mickey and Gaurao bowed to Ross was. Ross was bowed in return. Ross was? You don't know me anything. I see him as a good comrade and a friend. But if you excuse me, I will leave to go get some food and rest. I'll leave you some time with your son. Bratwurst then opens the door and walks out and closes it behind her. Bravo. I'll also be taking my leave so you can have alone time with him. But before she could turn around to leave, Mickey and Goro speak. Mickey? No, please stay. Goro. He is just as important to us as he is to you, so please stay. I'm pretty sure he would like to know your presence was next to him. So please stay. Ravel's heart began beating fast, and she has a red face, but she also feels really happy and filled with butterflies at that comment. She makes her way to the other side of Issei's bed and begins talking to him. Ravel. Hey, Ice, I don't know if you can hear me, but please come back to us. We are all worried about you. Ravel reaches over and gently brushes a strand of hair from Issei's face, her fingers trembling with tenderness. Both Mickey and Gora held tightly onto their son's hands. Mickey? Wake up, my boy. Your mother is worried about you and wants to know if you're all right. She wants to praise you for your accomplishments and scold you for your reckless actions. But most importantly, she just wants you to be okay and put her mind at ease. Goru? Son, I'm incredibly proud of the person you've become. You've faced challenges that most would avoid, and you've come out on top. Gora then tried to whisper something to him, but Ravel overheard and yelled at him. Ravel? You're not taking him to any of those sleazy gentlemen's clubs, do you understand me? Or realized at that moment he knew, he bucked up. Then Mickey squeezed his hand, causing him to turn his head slowly to meet his wife's intense gaze. Both Mickey and Ravel were giving him a death glare that made him feel like he was looking into the depths of death itself. Mickey? Our son is in a coma, and you decide to whisper about taking him to a gentleman's club in front of his future fiancée. Gora Heidu, it seems you need to be taught a lesson, wouldn't you agree, Ravel? Ravel? I agree with you, Mickey. I think he deserves some punishment. Bora could only gulp in fear, yelling at his son to wake up so that his future fiancée and mother could be happy again before he faced severe consequences. But before he could say anything else, an overwhelming presence surrounded them, and all that could be heard was screaming. In the dining room of the Leviathan mansion, Rosways was having lunch when she heard the screams from the other side of the mansion. She sighed and muttered to herself, Rosways? At least I know where Issei gets it from. And she continued eating as the screams continued. Scene change. Back in Issei Mindscape, Greg slowly regained consciousness, his eyes blinking open as he tried to make sense of his surroundings. It had been around 15 minutes since he had fainted, and Issei had been persistently trying to rouse him during that time. Though still groggy, Drake managed to gather his thoughts and address Essiel. Greg, I never thought your soul would be so shattered that you're seriously contemplating giving up on your harem king dreams, Essiel. It's not like that, actually. I genuinely meant what I said. I don't believe that having a harem guarantees me love from all those involved. Ravel showed me an example of what true love is, and that's the type of love I want to reciprocate to her. You told me to be true to myself and to embrace my feelings. Although I'm not quite ready to confess like she did, I'm getting there. I would like to take her on a proper date before making any big gestures. Greg was taken aback by Issei's words, which were a stark departure from his usual perversion. Hearing him express such sentiments simultaneously filled Drake with pride and relief, as it seemed Issei might be able to shut his infamous op-eyed dragon reputation sooner than expected. Drake. I'm proud of you, partner. It's not necessary to rush into a confession, but I believe that allowing yourself time and planning a proper date is the best approach. Don't let yourself be pressured, and I doubt Ravel would try to force anything upon you like the other girls did. Essie nodded, grateful for Drake's understanding and encouragement. He knew that Ravel was different from the other girls who had pursued him, and he wanted to approach their relationship with sincerity and respect. The fact that Drake supported his decision gave him a sense of reassurance. I say, thanks, Drake. I appreciate your advice. I don't want to rush things with Ravel or let myself feel pressured. I want to take the time to get to know her better and build a strong foundation for our relationship. Greg. That's the spirit, partner. Love is a complex thing, and it's important to take it slow and make sure you're both on the same page. Remember, a harem isn't the only path to happiness. It's about finding a genuine connection with someone who truly understands and accepts you. Issei agreed wholeheartedly with Drake's sentiments. He didn't want to pursue a harem just for the sake of fulfilling some adolescent fantasy or because he was lonely. He wanted a deeper, more meaningful connection, and he believed he perhaps could find that with Ravel. The thought of settling down with her and building a future together brought a warmth to his heart that he had never experienced before. Say, Drake, I think I finally understand what it means to be a true harem king. It's not about having multiple partners, it's about being dedicated, loyal, and fully committed to the one person you truly love. In this case, that person is Ravel. She deserves my full attention and devotion. I want to make Ravel happy and be the best partner I can be for her. I'll take her on a wonderful date and make her feel cherished. And when the time is right, I'll gather the courage to confess my feelings. Greg, you're starting to sound like a true dragon, Issei. I'm glad to see you maturing and growing beyond your perverted antics. Ravel is a special girl, and I have a feeling that she will bring out the best in you. With Drake's support, Issei felt more confident in his decision to pursue a relationship with Ravel. He knew it wouldn't be easy, and there would be challenges along the way, but he was willing to face them head-on. The determination in Issei's voice resonated with Drake. He could see that Issei was ready to embark on a new chapter of his life, one where he would prioritize genuine love over fantasies and desires. Drake knew that this change was not only for Issei's own growth, but also for the sake of their partnership as the Red Dragon Emperor. Dreg, excellent partner, I have faith in you. Remember, I'm here to guide and support you every step of the way. Now, let's start planning that unforgettable date to show Ravel how much she means to you. As Issei and Drake began to discuss the details of the upcoming date, both felt a sense of excitement and anticipation. Together, they would navigate the complexities of love and relationships, all while striving to become the best versions of themselves. Greg paused for a minute and looked upwards into the mindscape before looking back down at Issei. Issei? Greg, is everything all right? Greg? Yes, believe it's time for you to wake up, your body starting to finally show signs of regaining consciousness. So it's time to go see the people that are waiting to see you once again. I think a certain phoenix, and if what I'm feeling correctly is I think two people that you would have never have thought to be there waiting for you are also there, so I think you should go. Issei was confused. He was about to ask Dreg what he meant until Dreg forced him out of his own mindscape, causing him to scream as he was pushed away, and the white void with the black mist wall completely vanished until everything went dark. Scene change. Back in the room with Ravel, Mickey, and a visibly battered Goro, they all gathered around Issei's bed. Each of them held one of Issei's hands, with Ravel softly grasping his right hand and Mickey holding his left, while Goro stood behind Mickey to provide support. Suddenly, Ravel felt Issei's hand twitch under her touch. She glanced at his face and noticed his eyelids starting to flutter. Her heart soared with hope, causing her to jump up from her seat in excitement. Finally, to everyone's relief, Issei's familiar chocolate-brown eyes began to open. Mickey, on the verge of tears, was overcome with joy, while Goro, with a small tear in his eye, comforted his wife by pulling her close to his chest. Unable to contain her emotions any longer, Ravel leaped onto the bed, wrapping her arms around Issei and crying tears of happiness. Issei held her tightly in a warm embrace, gently trying to calm her down, assuring her that everything would be all right. Amidst the tears and embrace, Issei finally spoke, addressing Ravel. Issei? Hey Ravel, what did I miss? Ravel, still sobbing, managed to respond amidst her tears. Ravel? Oh, Ice, you're finally awake. I missed you so much. I was so worried about you. Issei patiently comforted Ravel as she continued to cry, assuring her that he was here and that there was much to explain on both sides. He also greeted his parents, acknowledging the fact that there was much he needed to clarify and that they had likely been informed about recent events. Mickey and Goran nodded gratefully, relieved that their son's personality and sense of humor had remained intact. Issei's question, though, reminded them that more questions and answers were still on the horizon. However, for now, they were all just grateful that Issei was safe and had finally awakened from his terrifying rampage. Thanks for listening to my video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and comment below your favorite part. Sayonara, see you in the next video.